humanity. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
Hey, what do you want me to tell you? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. You know what we're going to talk about today? I'll give you one guess what we're going to talk about today. The tie that binds us together. Music. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're not going to talk about who's running for president, and we're not going to talk about who's getting vaccinated, and we're not going to talk about, you know, your slap happy grandpappy. We're going to talk about music today. And one of our old friends is coming on. It's going to be great. I got a good feeling about it today. Good to see everybody. Hey, is that you on? What's happening? Lori Dawn, Sid the Kid, what's up? Wow, they're coming out of the woodwork. RS. Good to see everybody. You come to the right place. This is, what's up, John in London? Go ahead, London. You know? AJP NYC. Good. The gang's all here. Good to, hey. Whoa, they're coming out of the woodwork. Chacho's Tacos. Come on now. All right, good. Shawnee, what's up? Good to see you yesterday. All right. Feeling good about it. Hope you are too. You know? Checking in from Port St. Lucie. Okay, Thomas. Good. Gina B, welcome back. Good to see you. Is that you, Phil? RBNX? Anyway. Clank your chains and count your change, right? That's what's happening. Well, good. I'm glad you're excited, Matthew. I guarantee. I'm like Babe. I'm calling the shot, like Babe Ruth. You know. Who's throwing money at the show already? Is that right? Is today Grandparents' Day? And thank you for the super chat of $2.55. It's a rather odd number, but thank you. Is that you, Phil? Oh no, it's RS. Hey, I didn't know it's Grandparents' Day. Okay. By the way, as we're getting into it on today's show, there's going to be a lot of interaction, and we're going to be taking a lot of questions. We're going to take a lot of. It's going to be a very interactive show. So, you know, questions are almost okay along the way today. So you don't necessarily have to wait till the very end. Speaking of questions, let's bring on the big question mark himself.
My whole existence is a question.
What's going on? What's going on? What are you hammered? What is that? An empty beer mug already?
It's an empty pint glass. I'm using it to distract the cat from off the screen.
Come on. What's going on?
Too much. I'm in the kitchen today because we finally fixed the ceiling, so I got a lot of shit moved around.
Okay. Hey, Jojo says hi.
Jojo. Man, this is fun. I'm already excited for today. This is going to be a fun one.
If you're excited, I'm excited. And
exactly.
Speaking of excitement, let's do a couple of things. You sent me a couple of shots.
Yes.
Is this and we don't have time to cha-cha around today.
Well, we know what this is. These are our boys.
We have no time to cha-cha around today, Cupcake. This is you know what? Any guesses on what this is? Anybody? What do we have here? Let's see. Is it Carnivore? You know what? One member of Carnivore. Very good.
That's right.
There is one member of Carnivore playing guitar. Anybody else? Anybody else? Is it Kiss?
Yeah.
Huh. The Cruise. Yes. This is The Cruise. And Yes, this is Life of Agony.
Yes,
Yeah.
this was.
This is, excuse me, this is the inside of the boat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the big boat. This is the Liberty Bell.
Oh, it's not the boat that I went on the Sick of It All cruise.
No, this is a big. I think this is a bigger boat.
Right.
And it really, I mean, it was packed. It was great. It was Life of Agony, and Alan's other band, Spoiler, opened up the show as well.
Right.
And a lot of fun. Just great set. They played the new song. It was just a really fun night, and went around like by the Statue of Liberty. The whole route that they go for like the rocks off.
Yep.
Veronica.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's. I love this band. This band is one of my favorites of the live bands to go see, really, and just.
I like Life of Agony too.
Yeah, one of the bands that we've had. Every member of the band has been a guest on this show.
Yep.
Number of times, actually.
Yep.
So, but it was a lot.
You know what? I before we get on to some other stuff, I got to tell you something funny that happened. So this week, So Friday, I go down to Philly to do this Ray Capo book event, right?
Right.
At this record store at Creep Records. And we do this event. It's cool, right? There's it was a good event. And look, I've done a bunch of them with Ray at this point. And so after, he says to me, "Hey, I got this other book event after the show, and after this event, I want you to come and do this second book event with me." I'm like, "Where is it? What is it?" "Don't worry, you got it." I'm like, "Okay." Yeah. So afterwards, he gives me the address. We go. I'm starting to get the feeling of I know where this is going, right? So we go to Philly. I show up, and of course I have my handler, Larry Kelly, with me, who drove, picked me up, drove me down there, who's sort of, thank God for Larry Kelly. And we show up, and there's all this chanting going on, coming out really loud, coming out of the building. And I'm like, oh boy. And Ray shows up, and we go in, we take our shoes off, and we go upstairs, and we go into this room, right? And it's packed full of people, right? And these people are so excited to see Ray, right? And he brings me in to this situation, threw me in the fire.
Yeah.
Yo, dude threw me in the fire. And it was really a blast. And it was like a Krishna temple, and people were so excited to see them, and we had a great book event. And with like the first book event was about kind of music, hardcore. This event was about a little bit on the more spiritual tip, and I moderated it, and it was a great crowd. And he threw me in the fire, and it was great. It was a little bit of a challenge, which I don't get challenged too much these days,
So you literally went from punk to monk that day.
I went from punk to monk and went right in there. Didn't know what I was walking into. And it was intense, and it was cool. A lot of chanting. It was cool.
Speaking of spiritual events, I think we should talk about yesterday.
Yeah. So, let me find I got to find a good picture that kind of sums it up. So yesterday, well, here it is. All right. So why don't you tell us what's going on? Here it goes with this, and then
nice.
I got here you go. Congrats on the engagement, and that's right. The flowers and go ahead. Tell them what this is, man.
Well, this is what is this, like the boathouse over here? Something like this is just one piece of this amazing property. We went up to Purchase, New York, to celebrate the engagement of Drew and Rochelle. And it was a really, really nice turnout. We literally beat the weather by minutes right down to the end. And it was just a great bunch of people, and everybody was having a lot of fun celebrating. And It was the pool house. Thank you, Larry. The
Boathouse. It was close.
boathouse, pool house, boathouse.
It was
The house itself looked like a castle. I mean, it was just such a cool place.
Yeah.
And you know, our friend Scott Helen was playing, and of course there's Lori and Rich. It was such a fun day, and you know, great food and everything. This is it. You know, this is just the build up to the big day.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I got. Listen, let's not get carried away. One thing at a time, bro. You know, one. Oh, here you go. Here's a nice one. You know, we made a little speech. And listen, it started out as a very, it was a very small thing for family and, bandmates and, it got a little bit bigger, but I just want to say, when's the wedding? I just want to say that we're going to get married. It's going to be a rock and roll banger, and everybody's going to be invited. Everybody's going to be invited to our wedding. We're going to do something wild. We're going to we're going to get married. Like, we're going to do something wild, and everybody's going to be invited.
Tompkins Square Park.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Here's a good one. Here's one of the great photos of the day. Okay. Here's Michael Alago and my mom. There you go. Alago and my mom. All right.
So fun. Yeah, I mean, geez, that's the picture. She looks. I see your face. Like you definitely look a lot like your mom.
Well, thanks. And Alago and my mom are very close.
Oh.
And since I directed the Alago film, him and my mom have been close. I think Alago talks to my mom more than I do.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
Yeah, it's cool.
And
here you go. Here's as we just gonna wrap it up real quick, but here's a nice shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I could see what's his name behind Mike, which was nice to see Joe Palmisano. I mean,
Tony
Palmisano show up.
Yeah.
Joe. But
you see the things we're wearing. Mine says what does it say? He proposed, and hers says she said yes. You know? Yeah. So it was
really
nice.
Great.
It was nice, and I'm really blessed with having so many great friends from around the world, and everybody who watches the show, man. I'm a lucky guy, and I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all of you for being a part of my life. I'm really, Wait, here's my final shot from yesterday before we move on. Here you go. Boom. Congrats.
Yeah, this is just I really wish I could have taken a tour of the place. It was really just a gorgeous property.
Yeah, my sister hosted it, and my sister is awesome. My sister and her husband, and they picked up the axe and swung it. Here's a cool shot. Here's me with my two cousins. That's Alan Dubin on the right, who many of you know. He's the front man of Con 8 and of Gnaw, and he used to be an Old Lady Drivers that were signed to Earache. But that's my cousin Alan Dubin. We are related, So
that's awesome.
All right, I think that's everything. I think we covered it.
I think so.
Good. All right. Here we go.
The Godfather.
Yeah. Yes, Rich. Thank you. On to The Godfather. And am I going to see you? Are you coming? I'm moderating this book event on Thursday.
This is going to be I might have to do some finagling to do two things at once, but
come early and then go to, we'll get into that later. All right.
So I'll see you.
All right. I'll talk to you in a bit. Thank you. Well, there you have it. This is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. And we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Mad Vintage, and Vinnie Stigma's cousin, Joe Ramini, the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located and the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, and promo photos and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Relay, Ringo Starr, and of course, your friends and mine, Agnostic Front. Information on online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. That said, get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. Let's bring our guests on. Let's do what we do. All right? Let's make sure. Let's clear the deck. What the heck? Let's make sure nobody's killing each other in the chat room. Here we go. Yo, he's on the way. Hey, Count Ralphus, what's up? Here we go. Here we go, yo. And this is what I'm going to do here. Basically, I'm going to read the back. I'm going to read the back of the book. That's going to be the intro. So here we go. The godfather of New York hardcore and founding member of Agnostic Front invites you to his Lower East Side pad to regale. Gotta love it. Regale you with tales from his extraordinary life among mobsters, punk rockers, and a bevy of iconic artists and personalities. None of whom is as fascinating as the inimitable. Did you write this, Howie? The inimitable Vinnie Stigma. Vinnie's story stretches from his upbringing in Little Italy in the 50s and 60s amongst the tight-knit Italian families to becoming one of the Big Apple's earliest punk rockers in the 70s, playing and visiting such eclectic downtown haunts as Max's Kansas City, the Electric Circus, and CBGB. Still, Vinnie Stigma is not your run-of-the-mill rocker. He dabbled in cooking, professional wrestling, acting, martial arts, yoga, and other creative disciplines. He is a father and cancer survivor who helped pioneer skinhead and tattoo culture in America and has mentored hundreds of fledgling musicians and artists. His vivid stories are illuminating, surprising, inspiring, and often hilarious. Featuring vintage photos throughout, a handful of signature Italian recipes, even a 4-page comic, a heartwarming children's story, and a crossword puzzle. The most interesting man in the world is a journey through life like no other. Please welcome, coming at us from our beloved sponsor, Generation Records, in the heart of the West Village, our old friend, the godfather of New York hardcore, Vinnie Stigma, along with his co-author, our sometimes co-host of the show, and my neighbor, Mr. Howie Abrams. Hey! Okay.
We're frozen.
Right.
All right, we're not frozen anymore.
What's happening?
Doing good. Live from Generation Records.
Yeah.
Did you write the back of the book, Howie? Was that you?
I did, because as soon as they're about to put the thing up on Amazon, right? They ask you for copy, like a description that's kind of for everyone else, not you.
Yeah.
And, so I wrote that for the publisher, and the publisher wound up using it. And we were like, you know what? It's pretty good. We'll use it for the back of the book.
There's some big boy words there, man.
Thesaurus.
Yeah, I like what was inimitable.
Inimitable. Yes, inimitable.
Can I add that to my repertoire?
I would like you to do that. Yes.
All right. How are you, Vin? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, man. It was really good. We're here at Generation Records. I signed like 350 books.
I saw. Wait, I got the picture. Wait, where I got to put the picture up.
Yeah, I sent you the photo.
Oh.
350 books?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really a lot of fun.
And he rubber stamped them.
And I stamped them like with my rubber stamp there, too. It was awesome, Mark's been great to me, man, having a good time,
We love that guy. We love
I was talking to him today, too, about, even putting out my country record. So he's going to do it in a couple of months. But that'll be another time for another show.
Yeah, we'd love to do that. We were talking about that a while ago. Here, this just happened, right?
Yeah, that's like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Good. And those were all signed already by that time.
Signed and stamped.
And these are stamped, and these are going out via generation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the pre-orders. They were the only place for a minute that had signed books. Certainly the only record store. And so those are the pre-orders, and then he's going to have a few on hand at the store signed as well, just to sell.
Yeah. Good. Exciting. So that said, the book cover, right? This is the cover front and back. This is what I just read from. And let's bounce the ball back and forth a little bit regarding the book. My leadoff question is, why now? What inspired you guys now to do the book? What was in the air? And just, give me some of the events, both of you guys, why now for the Vinnie Stigma book?
I mean, the simple answer is Vinnie was gracious enough to say yes. Mm-hmm. I had written 9 books prior, mm-hmm. and I was looking for the next book to write. And I always had, Vinnie in mind. I think that it's a no-brainer, really. And I feel like, so many audience members and part of the scene that we're all a part of felt similarly. So I approached Vinnie, and we've known each other for a long time. We're friends. I've been his record company, et cetera, et cetera. So, I asked him if he wanted to do it. And, we talked it through about like what the idea would be for the book. I've said this before, but ultimately didn't want to do the same punk rock biography that we keep seeing. I think the last bunch of years, there's been a bunch of them. Some are great, some are garbage. It's just the way things are, like when you do a bunch, some are just not going to be that great. And, most importantly, we had to make sure it represented his personality, which is super unique, and his experiences and his upbringing and all of that. So I approached him, and again, we talked it through about like, kind of how we saw this going. And Vinnie said yes. And amazingly, like, he said, he'll tell you that he'd been approached before, and, didn't feel it was the right time, or that maybe it was the right person.
Yeah, I everyone for years always said, hey, Vinnie, you got to write a book. Hey, Vinnie, you got to write a book. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. So, and I didn't even want to write a book. But I said, if I'm going to write a book, I'm going to do it with Howie. Because, like, 40 years we know each other. We're in the same, the same thing. We're friends, And I said, I don't want to write a book like every other book. I want to do something different. So I wrote a book, just like every other book, but I threw in a cookbook. I threw in a comic book. I threw in a coffee table book. A lot of them have that too. But the puzzles and
children's
poems, the children's stories, So you could read like that children's story to your kid at night. You know what I mean? There's even for like a little kid to put him to sleep. Young parents that like can't make it to the hardcore show, like they got a kid, whatever. You read them the Vinnie Stigma story, like children's book. You're still involved in hardcore. You're bringing the culture into with the child too, And it's a very nice story. Tell you the truth, when I read it sometimes, not anymore because I read it so many times, I cry because it was so touching and so heartwarming. Howie's great, man. He's the right guy for this book, He walked me through it. I wouldn't have a book if it wasn't for Howie. So I'm very appreciated. I want to thank Mark from Generation Records, the Hardcore Chronicles. I know you're going to help us in Boston. We're going to do, that's my birthday weekend. So, we're going to have a lot of good fun.
So, I just want to say, I've said this before, this is going to be a real interactive show. So if you have questions along the way, we're going to really do it back and forth. So you don't have to wait till the end to post questions. Somebody just asked a good one. I just want to show it. Oh yeah. So So Flat Round and Spun VC says, Vinny, any chance of doing talking spoken word shows? I guess he's referring to I guess referring to book events here. Is that safe to say? Right? Howie?
I mean, we're definitely doing some book events. So, I don't know if I would call him spoken word. He's not Henry Rollins, but like we are definitely doing a few events. If you want to get into that now, we can talk about that.
But I got better stories than that guy.
Yeah, that's true too.
I got better. Like, really? I mean, that's what you, what? No way. I got stories.
Hashtag better than Rollins.
Yeah.
So Howie, let's go, let's kind of go where the wind blows us here. We have this event. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this coming Thursday, the 12th, we have the New York City event. And so unfortunately we're going to miss your event, Drew, because it's the same friggin' night, but we're sorry about that. But so we're doing an event at Nighthawk Cinemas in Prospect Park, not the one in Williamsburg, the one in Prospect Park, where we're going to be screening Ian McFarlane's excellent Godfathers of Hardcore film. And then we're going to do a Q&A, and then Vinny's going to do a book signing, and he's also going to be playing a few songs acoustic, and I will tell you that they are doo-wop ditties.
Yeah.
So that's happening. Then we have, we'll get to the Bridge 9 one. And then on the 20th of October, we're going to be at the Punk Rock Flea Market in Waterbury, Connecticut. We're doing that one. I sent you a flyer for that.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Then
on October 26th, we're going to be
doing dive bar pizza
in Montauk. It's going to be like kind of a Halloween party, and bands are going to play, and it's a big skater surfer spot.
A DJ in there.
Yeah.
This is which one is this?
This is October 20th, the Punk Rock Flea Market in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, we're doing the dive bar pizza on October 26th. And then December 7th, we're going to be at Bridge 9 in Beverly, Mass, with Drew hosting a Q&A. And we're going to do a book event there. It's going to be not only a Christmas party, but it is only mere days away from Vinny's birthday. So it's going to be a birthday celebration. And what did you want for presents?
Cigars and wine.
Yeah, so bring cigars and wine.
And cake. We got our cake, too.
I'm hearing the Bridge 9 event is gaining a little momentum, and it might.
Yeah, I would keep an eye on that thing because there may be some extra bonus batter going on there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right face you're making right there. Keep an eye on that, everybody.
Make it more special,
Even more
this
special.
Event here. You might want to keep an eye on this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
things may happen.
Things might happen.
Yeah.
So that said, and
there's going to be something in December at Vinny's New York Hardcore Tattoo Shop.
Oh, good.
So we're going to do something there. It's not scheduled yet, but it'll be in December.
So here is, let me just jiggy this around. So here's the table of contents of the book, and just wondering how you guys, the chapters of the book are really great, and I kind of quote here. These are sort of the chapters' names: son, music fan, recording artist, elder, madball, superhero, hotel, dad, cancer survivor, friend to the vegans, dancer, wrestler. How did you sort of arrive at chapters and chapter names?
We sort of figured that Vinny is a million things, right? Mm-hmm. He's a I don't want to say jack of all trades because that sounds negative, but he's definitely chameleon. He's a Renaissance man. Maybe that's the best way to put it, is Renaissance man. So we figured each chapter should represent something that people look at him as, right? So by his son, he's looked at as dad, Mm-hmm. So but he's a cook and he's all these things, chef, friend to vegans, which you'll think is funny. And then, superhero obviously is the comic, and
guitar hero,
but that we didn't call it that, but so we figured that the chapter should ultimately just be, each should be something that Vinny is.
Cool. Hey, got to shout out Stephen Huey. Good to see you.
Ah.
Fly Right Tattoo.
My man, I visited him a week ago. I got some new tattoo work going there.
And our good friend in Antwerp asks, what was the most fun chapter to do?
What did you have the most fun talking about?
I tell you the truth, the most heartwarming to me is the children's book, and it, the cook. I like the
recipes,
recipe, the cookbook in it. That was fun. Some poetry that we got throughout the book is cool. I don't know, maybe talking about
what's this, Howie?
This is the comic. So another thing that Vinnie is considered to be as a superhero. So we figured let's do a comic, Stigma Man, and we had Ernie Parada from Token Entry, Black Train Jack fame draw that.
Is that who that? Yeah, he's great.
So he drew it, I wrote it, and we figured the whole idea is that Vinnie is trying to leave his home and make it to a CB's matinee, which is is only 2-3 blocks away,
right?
And he encounters all this stuff, right? So gentrifiers, homeless people, an old lady saving a puppy from a fire, like all of these things happen, and there you have Stigma Man, which maybe it's something that becomes an actual comic later on. Who knows?
Dylan
Cooper, like it.
Dylan Cooper asks, "What are Stigma Man's
What are your actual powers? What are your superpowers as Stigma Man?"
Cooking. Cooking fuels me to give me energy.
Right.
He doesn't fly or anything, but like he has great instincts because like he knew the woman needed to be helped across the street. He helps her. He sees the puppy in the fire.
Go save
He goes and saves the puppy.
There you go.
Right. One thing that was really, that I really enjoyed was, reading about Vin's background and stuff and growing up in Little Italy. And, I of course, I've been to your apartment and, the neighborhood, and, you're just, you've been in that neighborhood for a long time. Tell us, Vin, give us a minute or two on, how'd you grow up, where'd you grow up, and how you still live in the building. It's great.
Well, I was born in St. Clair's Hospital, which is not in Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen, West Side, December 3rd, 1955. My mom and they moved me down, took me from the hospital. I lived in the same apartment all my life. My grandmother lived there, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, mom, dad, everybody lived in the building. And then even our other families that where they have their families also live in the, so it's like one big, all the doors are open. You can smell coffee, or like cooking, Now I smell sandalwood incense, and you see Mexicans going up and down the stairs, delivering food, no children. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, there was me and all my friends would go knocking on everybody's door, and for during Halloween. And I would go sometimes to the same door 3-4 times, and the lady would tell me, "Vincent, I know that's you behind the mask," and I would change masks with my friends. But I had a wonderful life in that building. And
did your uncle have pigeons on the roof? Was that building?
That I had pigeons on my roof. My
okay.
uncle had them on the next roof. Everybody had pigeons on the roof. There was some gangsters on the next roof had pigeons.
Yeah.
Then my friend Sally Gaga, he had pigeons on another roof. Then there was a Mousy on one roof. They had like 700 birds. Forget about that. That guy was dedicated. I still have pigeons today. I only got about 6 pigeons. They're racing pigeons, and I raced them. Last year, I entered my pigeons and with Mike Tyson because he's a pigeon guy. And my pigeons out of like 400 pigeons came in like 17th. That's pretty good.
Out of how many?
Out of 400.
Oh, 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the largest pigeon event in America. It's in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
When the internet goes down, you come talk to me.
There you go.
The pigeons will communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we sort of, growing up. Let me backtrack a little bit. At what point, Vinny, did you? What music was in the air when you were a young person growing up? Now I know the obvious. I know your neighborhood. I know Marty Scorsese, shot in the neighborhood. I know your family was involved in putting and doing the stained glass in the church in your neighborhood. You're going way back, but I know it's kind of obvious. But what music was in the air when you were a kid growing up? Yeah.
I was just talking about it. There was Johnny Maestro.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, because he's a paisan. There's, of course, Frank Sinatra, still my hero. Yeah. Because I think he's the coolest motherfucker ever. He owes me money, Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, he owes me money. Like in my book, when I heard Enrico Caruso,
oh wow,
that sold me for some reason. The crackles in the record, the way it was recorded, then the bands like that. Then you jump ahead, and then there was Jimi Hendrix, and that's where I first landed with the guitar. I was like, I want to play guitar like that guy. Now I know there are a lot of better guitar players, but not to me. To me, he's the guy. And I wanted to emulate him and Bruce Lee. Too, because Bruce Lee was the toughest motherfucker on the planet, and to me, Jimi Hendrix was the best guitar. I admire these two guys.
I love that Enrico Caruso gets love in the book, because Enrico Caruso is like a beloved figure. Like people that what was the film? One of my favorite films, Fitzcarraldo, which was directed by Werner Herzog. He's such a Caruso fan. He wants to build an opera house, and like Caruso fans are fanatics.
Oh, yeah. Like Pavarotti too.
Hey, cuz, what's up, cousin Joe? Hey, and so what was the first like rock music or heavier music that spoke to you?
Before Hendrix, it was like the doo-wop.
Right.
And I like doo-wop because it's street music. It's real music for real people. It's three-part harmony. I'll be doing that without the three parts on the 12th.
Yeah, at Nighthawk.
At the Nighthawk Theater. I'm going to do a little acoustic set. So I'm going to be doing doo-wop songs.
Good.
And I just love doo-wop. It's like it's just a cool. It's like a very Italian kind of thing too.
Shana doo-wop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Bowser went to my high school way before me.
Oh, yeah. And it was just a beloved music I had. It's so street, it's so personal. And then the rock came. Who's calling?
Yeah.
My Gallo
called me.
My Gallo. What are you calling me
He
here?
knows what you're doing.
Jesus Christ.
You know what? I'm gonna call him and put. Hey, we're doing the fucking show, bro.
Yeah. Right. Really.
Yeah. How about it? That said,
the rock music, right? That's where you were at.
Yeah. What was
like
the
after Hendrix?
Arthur Siegel asks, what was the first record you bought?
Oh,
Jesus.
Because Enrico Caruso, your parents had.
Yeah.
I mean, is there something like I know for me there was stuff.
I bought the Shirelles. I bought the Dave Clark 5. Stuff like that. I bought.
Yeah. Sure.
But
Howie, what about you, Howie? What was like
the first I ever bought?
Yeah, that was like this is mine.
Kiss Alive.
Oh wow.
So that was 75, and then so I was 7, and I'll keep it short. Like I got turned on to Kiss because of wrestling, because of magazines, and I always used to get like the wrestling magazines, and right next to the wrestling magazines is like. Cream and Hit Parader and like all those magazines, and Circus, and Kiss is on the cover. So I'm like, who are those freaks?
Yeah.
So I read about Kiss, and then I found out they're a band and they have records out, and it was right around the time that Kiss Alive came out, which I think a lot of the OG Kiss fans, that's the period when they discovered them. And then they got massive a year later in 1976 with Destroyer.
Yeah, it was a big record.
The first record that I, as a young person, bought was Elvis Presley.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what spoke to me as like a 12-year-old. That like Elvis. My first record I ever bought was Elvis Presley. And
you liked him gyrating his hips?
I loved his voice and just, you know, and that, you know, I think a lot of, we've talked about this a million times, that artists like Elvis Presley, they're a gateway to other things.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
you listen to Elvis and you go, where's this coming from?
Right.
Who
What
did
influenced this?
Who did Hound Dog? Oh, your Big Mama Thornton. And you sort of you look at and if this goes to hardcore too, right, Vinny? It's like, who are the roots? You go back to the roots. You know, kids. Oh, Agnostic Front. Who influenced Agnostic Front? And then people go beyond the veneer.
But Vinny even talks about in the book that, you know, because he was around for like the Max's days and all that stuff. But like what came a little bit before that and then overlapped with it was the Detroit stuff, right? So you have like the whole MC5 and Stooges and like all of those things happening. And then another thing that I was fascinated by hearing from Vinny was his time at the Electric Circus.
Yes.
And what's amazing about that is, for one, that's a neighborhood club for Vinny, basically.
Sure.
So he was going to these like, it was like R&B and soul nights and stuff like that. And like the artists that you saw at the Electric Circus, like right on fucking St. Mark's.
Yeah. What was that? Mandrill?
Family Stone, Mandrill, James Brown, Joe Cocker.
And for those that may not know, the building, the Electric Circus, it's still there to this day. The building is still there, and it was in the '60s. It was taken over. It was by
drugs. It became a drug build, like a council drug.
Well, that was late. That was later. But the guy, what was his name? He ended up opening the Ritz. I'm drawing a blank. He's the guy who gave Michael Alago his first job at the Ritz. I'm drawing a blank.
Me too. I know exactly.
Jerry Brandt.
Yes, Jerry Brandt.
Jerry Brandt is the guy who came into the building, because initially that building, they had Warhol. It was called the Dom. There's a club called the Dom, and Warhol did his exploding plastic inevitable there, and they had the Velvet Underground played there, and the Fugs. Then it became the Electric Circus, and then all this great stuff started popping off. And this is on St. Mark's Place, right, Vinny?
But like the Grateful Dead played there, like
the Allman Brothers played there.
It was a lot of the acid,
the Big Blue Building.
A lot of the acid San Francisco shit played there.
Yeah, they had the Carousel Room in there.
Right. Jefferson Airplane, I think, played there. All of that.
Everybody played there when you come to New York City.
Yeah.
How about Max's, Vin? Could you give us a little take on Max's Kansas City and sort of how that fits into the story?
Here's how I kind of landed, like forever on the punk scene, because when I used to go to Max's, I would bring a crew with me. They would play with my band, the Eliminators. Right. When I play, all the Chinese gangs used to come see my band. All the Italian kids from the neighborhood will come because it was kind of in my neighborhood too. And all these Chinese kids will come, and they put the sunglasses on, the best spiky hair with the motorcycle leather jacket. Forget it. It looked like it was great. And they were all my friends, of course, you know. It was the Ghost Shadows, the Dragons, the Flying Tigers, you know, all the kids from the Mott Street Boys. All these guys come see my band. So when all the other bands saw, like, who the fuck is this band? Like, all these people come see this guy, you know? And then I used to look at bands back then in them days, like the other punk bands, and really, they were really doing 12-bar blues, you know, but they were speeding it up a little and maybe throw a little bit of an English accent in there. And it was really 12-bar blues. It was slow moving, right? So I said to myself, you know what? I could do this better and use my accent in there, talk the way I talk. You know what I mean? And play faster, louder. That's how I did my hardcore punk.
I know that this is going back. I had this in the archives here, but I think this predates that. I don't know if you recognize it, but this is a very young Vinnie Stigma playing bass.
Oh yeah.
You know what this is before kind of the Max's stuff, right?
Yeah, this is 1973.
Is this Black Angus?
Yeah, it's right after Black Angus.
Oh, after Black Angus.
This is
Yeah.
like 73.
Looks like you're playing like a Gibson SG bass.
That they're hard to get those basses.
Yeah, and
I had a conversation with a guy yesterday about that very bass.
And were these neighborhood guys here? These
These were neighborhood guys.
Neighborhood guys.
Yeah.
They
That's my friend
definitely.
Rob, Ken. I went to school with him. I went to school with his brother. Here I am. I don't even know what shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely looks like a bunch of guys from the neighborhood here.
Yeah, neighborhood band. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
73, 72, 73.
73, and here's one last one from that from those shots. But this is great. Here you go, another one.
Wow, I never even seen that one.
Yeah,
wow.
Great.
The last one looks like Vinny's in Foghat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It looks like right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old do you think you are here? Heavy Metal Mama's
I
asking.
don't know.
If it's 72. So 65, 70.
22, baby.
Yeah, wow.
22 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And Larry Kelly already has the tattoo.
Right, you already had a tattoo.
You already had the tattoo there. Tell us, like, that first tattoo. Back then, getting a tattoo in New York wasn't that easy, right?
No, it was a little different.
Yeah.
The story, the tattoo story in Harlem.
Oh.
That's
Was that Big Joe that did that, or did you do that? Was that somewhere else?
Well, I did it with Tommy DeVita.
Ah,
Yeah, and I used to always tell him, Tommy DeVita. Dun, 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 Tommy DeVita. Yeah, I always just break his chops a little bit. I was friends with the other guy that worked there, Big Freddie. He was one of the 3rd Street guys.
yeah. And so things start rolling along. Eliminators. I remember Eliminators playing A7, and then let's get into sort of the AF stuff just a little bit. And how did AF come about, and how did Roger get pulled into it? Just give us a quick little. We've heard just because we're here, right?
Yeah.
Give us a little AF sort of background.
All right. I was in this band, the Eliminators, that came to an end. Then there was like when Max's closed, it was 81. I looked it up the other day. So a lot of the punks didn't make the jump into hardcore, because the music was changing, times were changing. It was not the 70s, it's now the 80s.
Sure.
So I made the jump, everything changed. Where am I? What am I saying?
Well, you're talking about like the origins of AF. But but even before that, Vinny made a point that I never really, because it was a little bit before my time. He makes a point in the book about the distinction between Max's and CB's, that
Absolutely.
were both going at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that Max's was this kind of like, it was a scene, right? It
Yeah,
was a very,
It's the upstairs in that bar there. It was
Right.
like,
it was a hangout for models and Warhol.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was a very to be seen thing where
Yeah.
you were saying CB's was the place that would give a new band a chance.
Yeah, it was-
So they had the audition nights, and like if you were a young band, you could go play CB's where Max is like someone had to like mentor you and put you on for you to even play there. And be able to hang out with those people.
Yeah, you got to hang out with the Warhols and the
that
the
whole scene.
assholes. You know
what?
The jam rock
Back then,
junkie.
I was like a teenage hardcore kid. I wasn't cool enough to hang out. I went to a show or two with Max's.
According to them, you weren't.
But
That's why when I rolled into there with my crew, their ears went up because we came in to take the cake.
Yeah.
But CBGBs, you ain't hanging out with Warhols and like glam rockers. You're hanging out with a Hell's Angel. You're hanging out with, some alcoholic, like real people, because we lived in that neighborhood.
And
then
going there. Well, he was. Also
I was going there before.
It was called Hilly's on the Bowery. Yeah.
Right. And then even sort of the next evolution, and then comes Dave in the A7, which turned into like our living room. Tell us about what A7 was initially, as we're getting into the agnostic, because I know it plays into how AF came together, but for those who may not know much of how did A7 come into play, and what did it mean to us?
Well, we used to hang out down on Avenue A. right? And the place is right there. I mean, this is my neighborhood, so I know everybody and everything. So the place opens up. It's my place. You know, they opened it up. And we went there. I started playing. I played, I never forget, before Max's closed, I toured New York City. I did CBGB's, Max's Kansas City, and A7 all in one night in a car.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
All in one night.
All in one night, 3 shows.
Wow, that's great. And for those, here's what I mean. A7 was an interesting place. Here it is during the day, right? If you can imagine, you know, and this is 1981. I mean, basically, it was this used to be Mary's Candy Store, right, Vin?
Exactly.
Yeah. And
across the street, Ray is across the street.
Yeah. And
I made Howie a chocolate egg cream the other day.
That's right, just like Ray's.
Just like Ray's.
Well, but one of the things that you talked about too is, so you have A7, which is became the New York City band clubhouse, but there were other shows because the West Coast bands were coming and playing in New York too. So they were playing the Peppermint Lounge and Gildersleeves and things like that. So you had like the Black Flags of the world and those bands. So the New York audience was seeing those bands too. So there was this punk scene, but it felt like it was very NYU, arty, suburbs, a little bit, right? So it's like not exactly just that, but I'm bringing this up because of how I know Roger came into play for Vinnie for the band, right? Because there already was an AF, right? So that original lineup of you and Ray B's on drums, John Watson singing, and Diego, and so, but what's, I always think it's funny. So what was important to you with these guys in the band was that they would never finish a show. Yeah, like that they would basically throw their shit down and dance. Like that was the thing, and you'd have half a band, you know, up there. And it was much more about the dance floor and these guys. Yeah,
that bass that I'm playing, that SG bass, Diego used to play. John Watson would fit in between the songs when there was no vocals, go out to dance. Then Diego would actually get my fucking bass, throw it on the floor. I'd be like, it's my bass, you know, and then go out there and he would just cripple people.
So is it, I mean, I know this, is it true that kind of Roger got pulled in because he was a hard dancer?
It's, you know what it was? I liked Roger.
Yeah, Roger was always, you know, when I first came down, you know, coming down from Boston with the SSD guys, and they play A7. You know, these are the guys that the first friends we had, you know, down there. You, Raj, Jimmy, Ray, Harley. Like, and you know, and as you know, people go on about Boston and New York. Yo, early on, none of that existed. Yeah, it's all good. It was later. Yeah,
I'm still friends with all those guys.
Yeah.
Till today.
So go on with Roger.
Anyway, Roger, I liked him. We moshed together. He was just a sweetheart of a guy. So I told Adam, go get that guy and tell him I want him in my band. So he goes to him.
Well, but you confused him because Adam was the bass player in AF. So now Roger was the bass player in the Psychos.
Right.
So
I love the Psychos.
So Roger doesn't understand why the bass player is asking a bass player to join Agnostic Front.
Because he ain't going to play bass no more. You're going to sing now.
So back then, it didn't matter if you could sing. What mattered if you had the most to say, or you danced hard, you ended up.
Or you were part of the scene. More than you were part of the scene, you know, that you were very involved, very grassroots. That mattered a lot to Agnostic Front. To me, till today, an Agnostic Front.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah. And it just so happens that and this plays into what you said, Howie, about out-of-town bands coming to town. I was at Agnostic Front's first show, which was at the A7 2+2, and it was the A7 2+2 was like in a factory building. It was a dilapidated factory building. I think
the building ain't there no more.
Yeah, the building's gone. They tore it down. But I mean, I know there might be 2 flyers to this, but
There
I
are.
know the other guys called it the Zoo Crew, which you weren't happy about.
Yeah.
But I was at this show and I theoretically saw Agnostic Front's first show ever. And I got to tell you what I do remember about it. What I do remember about it is you played your whole set in about 16 minutes. And then because you were a New York band and all your friends were there, everybody cheered and you played it the whole set again a second time.
Yeah, we've done that. I love that.
Yeah.
And was this the pizza boxes for
No,
drumskins?
That was at Billy.
Oh, that was
Billy
an A7
Psycho.
show.
That was
Okay.
Billy Psycho and
The Chinese gangs were at that show. The Ghost Shadows and some of those gangs. They were
any memories? Any memories of like the early, these early shows with Raj?
Yeah, well, even before Roger was even in the band, I was at the Peppermint Lounge, and Roger was like upstairs, like in the balcony or something like that. You got to ask him. And he was looking down, and he saw me. He knew who I was, like kind of. And there I am in the middle of the pit with my mohawk, And that's Roger's first memory of me before I even knew Roger.
Yeah, Roger says in his forward that there was a circle pit and Vinnie would stand in the middle and then go the other way.
Yeah.
Like go against the grain.
Yeah, you know how that guy. I hate those guys.
And just for those that are, wondering, we're taking a lot of our conversation here really from the book. And that's what we're trying to wrap this thing around in. And I just want to say, I've yet to say it. I want to put out there that the book is Vinnie Stigma, the most interesting man in the world. And it is available on Amazon. You could get it at Rev HQ. Cortex has it, BNN, and Premier Collectibles. And I'm sure down at Generation Records.
Yes, Generation Records. They're shipping the pre-orders, the signed pre-orders now. And then, they're going to have some signed copies like in the store as well come Tuesday.
Yeah. Let me see what we got. I love shit like this. Thank you for the super chat, Krista F. She
Better
says
than 255.
She says Vin's 60th in Cleveland. You threw up cheap wine in the girls' bathroom sink. Gallo gave me your gum while you did an interview. You gave me a pom-pom, and I got you artwork. And a friend did love and prayers. Vinny, hope to hang again. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you for the super chat. And anybody else has a burning desire question, do a super chat. It comes through in color. I can't miss it. Arthur Siegel says, how do you remember all this? I was so frigged up back then and remember it all. Well, some people have good memories. And also I think a lot of times, Vinny, like you, me, it's like people remind us of our memories, right?
True. Sometimes I forget things and I'm like, oh, right, I remember that.
Vinny,
that's why I keep talking with people.
Yeah.
When we were doing the book, so I interviewed Vinny 22 times, like for the book. So there were things where like you could see the gears start turning, like he started remembering certain things. And I was just like, yeah, let's just keep going. Because like he was on a roll, like remembering something about a very fucking long time ago.
Yeah.
It's one of the cherished things about, when I was making films, like when I did the Boston Hardcore film, and I was interviewing people I haven't seen in many, many years. And, I remember the guy in DYS came in and said, I'll never forget the time that we were in New York and you brought us to this place. We did this. I would never have thought of that. But when he brought it up, it's sort of like the haze lifted and now it's like a cherished memory again, It's very cool. Let me ask you now this is a photo that I have in the archive. This is a little bit later, but it's kind of a show and tell. Who's the guy in the middle here, and how did he play into things early on?
Yeah. That's Frenchie the Skin.
Yeah.
I love Frenchie. We would travel in a van, and like Roger would build the bunks, and we have all the equipment underneath. Not as much as equipment as we carry today.
Yeah.
But we had all the equipment, and we would sleep on top. Now there was like 6 of us and a dog in a van.
What was Roger's dog? I remember Roger's dog. Was that
Blitz? Blitz. We always had a dog with us.
Yeah.
Not only a dog, we would carry rats with us.
And Roger's van stunk like dog, man.
Oh, forget it. And then me and Frenchie, I would hug him the way I hug a pillow. I swear to God. I loved him, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he passed very young, but he was a big part of
he was a big part of the scene. He was very beloved. When he first came around, we all embraced him, especially me. I shaved his head with glass.
What?
Oh,
on a fire hydrant. And
Oh my God.
I said his whole head was bleeding.
Oy.
But that was it. That was it right there that night. Just like the way I glued
Billy Psycho's
Psycho's tooth into his head. These things you remember.
yeah.
I was out with Billy one night. We were getting bombed. We were tripping, and we were drinking Canadian Ace, this big bottle of beer. And he was drinking it, and he went like that, and his tooth fell into the beer.
Ooh.
And like, oh, so we're not throwing the beer out. We got to drink and get the tooth out.
Ooh.
So we drank all the beer, and we couldn't get the tooth out. We were like, it was stuck on the side of the bottle. We were like, fuck it. I got it. I threw it on the floor. We were like, oh, there's the tooth. We got the tooth. I put it in my pocket. So come on, go to my house. I'll glue it back in your head. So we went to my house. Finally get to my house somehow. Go at my house. Billy goes, take the glue. I put it in the, I realized it was backwards, the tooth. He was like, snaggle tooth. I can never forget these things. These are memories. I had to yank the fucking tooth back out of his head, turn it around, and put it back in.
Wow.
I can never forget this.
Well, Billy Psycho was like that. You know, you could just get the glue and glue it back in. You know.
I have a lot of great memories with Francie, Billy, Harley, Roger. You know, we're good friends, man. You know, boots. We would take pictures of our boots, put all our feet together, take pictures of our boots. Until today, I know whose boot. You know, when you look at the photo,
there was such a skinhead thing. Like,
yeah,
you would see it in England all the time. Like people, like they would just put their feet together, and it was like a thing. So,
but we did it New York style.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That was the thing. It wasn't Fred Perry's. It was band T-shirts.
Yeah, you know, I remember buying the first Agnostic Front T-shirt. You guys were parked in front of CBGB's, right? You were parked in front of CB's. And you were screening them in the van.
Yeah.
And I think, if I remember correctly, it was $5, and you screened it right there, and you handed me this wet. It was still like the ink was still wet, and I put it on, and I went into CB's wearing it. You know, that's Count Ralph says I just ordered it on Amazon, free shipping, first day release. Absolutely. And hey, look, our old friend Jonathan Wiley. Hello to Vinnie. Great interview. Yeah, Jonathan was around then, man. He was around.
I haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah, he comes around. I see him every now and then. What else we got? How about Howie? Any other sort of Howie in doing the book? Did you learn anything about Vinnie, or sort of like any sort of like, oh wow, moments?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, there were bits along the way, certainly, that I learned, which were incredible. Yeah. But what I think working with Vinnie doing the book really just reinforced that everything you've heard about him for years,
right.
Like, and I talk in the intro about him having been like the welcoming committee, know, at like CB's and stuff.
He
like
was.
Like the new people who would come around, like that he would like you immediately. He made you feel like comfortable being there and welcomed. And this is when the scene was still pretty small, and there were not a lot of people around, and it was very, still kind of very intimidating for an outsider and stuff like that. And so, just like the work ethic is a given, but I think the attitude of like all for one for all, everyone's welcome. Like the reason to me that like the crossover, for instance, of like metal and hardcore worked is because of people like Vinnie, because when like metal kids would start to show up at the matinees and stuff like that, you know, there was a lot of like keep it real types who were not into it, you know, who were like all those fucking long hairs and doing that kind of shit, you know. And Vinnie was exactly not that, right? He was the sort of, if you come here with the right attitude and you're sincere and like you're here for the music and you want to contribute to this scene and whatever, who gives a fuck how long your hair is
Just,
or what your record collection is.
I remember you, Drew, when you when I first met you, you know, I bought that cassette off you with the Road Warriors.
The High and the Mighty cassette.
The High and the Mighty.
You were one of our biggest fans, bro. Every time we played the A7, you were on the dance floor cheering us on.
I go there right now.
I know.
I wait for that. We all wait for the song. I'm the road warrior. Oh man, I till today I get the chicken skin when I listen to that.
Yeah, it was great, man.
But that's what I got, right? It's like that is not only is it real, it's beyond real, you know.
Yeah.
All of these things.
I still do it.
That you hear
I
about
still do it.
Yeah.
You still do it. Europe, everywhere.
Whenever, yeah, you go.
Yeah.
When you know, when I see, even now when I go to your shows at the Jesse's place,
It's at Bowery Electric.
The Bowery Electric, I see people. I introduce myself, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Or I'll just start a conversation out of nowhere, like who's on. I'll just say anything. Who's on next? Did they go on yet? You know.
But yet there are other people who see you as like this sort of like iconic rock star, you know. So that's what blows me away. You know what I mean? Is that you know, it's not crazy that he has a chapter called Son and Father and this, that, and the other thing, and then another one called Superhero.
Well, we talked about this in private a little bit, Howie, before the show started, about sometimes it's best not to sort of
meet your heroes.
To meet your heroes. A lot of time, and we're not
I've
mentioning
had a few that I wish I never did.
Right.
And we're not mentioning any names, but
right.
I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people you have, and you know, Vinnie's one that it's great to meet. It's great to connect with Vinnie because he's all that.
He's gonna connect with you.
Yes.
Like you don't even have to wait to like introduce yourself. He's already like making you, you know, food.
I would never want to be on the other side of this conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That wouldn't.
Like
that would hurt me.
What an asshole Vinnie is.
Yeah, I would never want to be on that side of the conversation. I mean, anybody out there, anytime, anywhere, I'm there.
Yeah. NC says, Vinnie and Harley welcome this former long-haired to CB's at AF Carnivore Crumbsuckers in 85, 86. One of the best gigs I ever went to.
I was at that one.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Vin, in lack of a better term, around that era, when the crossover thing started happening, when AF, you know, started doing the cause for alarm material, how did you feel about it? Was it a tough transition for you, or did you have to kind of get pulled into it, or what was your take on it as it was heading there?
Here we go. You got to make the jump.
Yeah,
it was tough because I'm a hardcore punk guitar player.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, and
you know, now I had to speed it up even more.
Yeah,
and like a lot more chords. I was like a 3/4. Now I'm like a 8/10 quarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a jump I had to make. Then I had to make another jump into the new style of hardcore, like Madball.
Yeah.
Where everything it's 12 chords now, and they slip.
But the picking style,
Yeah, I never did the pomade, the palm mute. I don't need it. That's right.
Pomade.
Yeah, I didn't need the pomade.
You got a good head of hair for you know.
Yeah.
A lot of you Italian guys, you know,
the gallop. I never did that. So when we did, I had to learn how to play with this hand. The other hand, it could fly away on me, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I duct tape my hand to the guitar. Matty Henderson used to duct tape my hand to the guitar
Yeah, you
because
told
my
me.
hand had its own mind. It was like, whoa. And I had to learn how to do that slip, the slip and fall, the
Sure.
slick,
Yep.
sweet playing. That was another thing I had to learn to do. And I'm still learning it too.
You mentioned Maddie, but you've been pretty blessed through the years to sort of have, by your side a lot of great guitar players in the band. Yeah, between
And
Maddie,
Alex.
And
Yeah.
Alex and now Craig Silverman and
Yeah.
Gordon for a couple minutes there.
Yeah. Thank God I got I call them sausage fingers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Wild card. So yeah,
Craig, my Craig.
there you go. Let me see. Any here's a good one.
Thank God I got these guys. Really, without them,
Yeah.
I stand on their shoulders.
Yeah.
I want to thank them very much, especially Craig Silverman.
Yeah.
He's been really good to me. He's a good guitar partner.
He's a pro. He brings
forget about it. Don't start a conversation with him.
It's good to have one guy like that in the band.
You gotta have.
And he takes great photos of Vinnie asleep in the
Yeah,
band.
yeah, right. And I got him back on that last photo.
That's true. There's photos in the book. There's a section called Stealer of Sleep that is Vinnie asleep in all kinds of wacky places on tour. And then at the end, there's finally a photo of Vinnie awake and Craig sleeping.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Here's a good one. Let's touch on this a little bit, and then we're going to take a break in a couple minutes. But is this right? You went to culinary school?
Culinary school.
Culinary. You went to culinary school?
Culinary school. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So back at when you saw those pictures with me earlier, I bought Richard. Well, one of those pictures, I bought Richard Hell's studio on 75 Varick Street. And I lived in that studio.
Wow.
And
75 Varick.
Yeah.
Oof.
Right by the Holland Tunnel.
Right by the tunnel. Right by the tunnel.
Yeah. So I lived there for a while. And right in 75 Varick Street, there used to be New York Culinary Academy. So you know me, every Italian kid thinks he knows how to cook. And you got a grandmother. And by the way, your grandmother's meatballs suck. You want to start a fight? There you go. So I was always interested, you know what I mean? So I went for a little bit, but it wasn't. I'm not going to open up a restaurant. What do I care? I got enough. I'm good enough. You're hungry, you eat. You're tired, you sleep.
Yeah, that's my dad says that.
But you learned a couple of things there, but you decided it wasn't for you.
It was not for me. Yeah.
I'm assuming growing up and stuff that you learned, quite a few, whipping up a few dishes from your family.
Oh yeah. All of the recipes from like my family, but I make them simple and long life for shelf, for easy to cook. You know what I mean? You come home 2-3 in the morning from tour, you're hungry, you ain't got nothing. You got it. You could do it.
Well, but what you did too, which I thought was interesting, is you liken it to like dorm room stuff too.
Yes.
Because you could be
stovetop,
hammered at college, come home and like make the same stuff quick and easy.
I mean, I'm not going to go buying beans and soaking them overnight. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. Open up the fucking can and deal with it.
Listen, Roger Moretz says, I heard Steve Bader's made better meatballs. Hey, Raj, what's up, man? Yeah. So there you go. And speaking of family, Joe Ramini, Vinny's cousin, the Texas Silver Russ, Vincenzo, shout out from Fredericksburg, Texas.
That's my cousin. Great guy. What a sweetheart of a supports hardcore all the way.
Have you ever had Roger Moretz flan?
Roger,
but there's an Italian thing that's like a flan, and it's better than any flan ever. I don't know the name. It's true, really. You know why? It isn't. It ain't fleshy.
I think there's beef.
No, there's no beef. When you taste it, there's no beef. I didn't even know Italian people had like a flan.
A flan version.
It's non-fleshy. I know I'm going to hear it from him in a couple of fucking days. But
Oh, you're done, bro. I mean,
I know. That's it. That's it. We're the band. We quit. That's it. We're canceling the
Agnostic
tour.
Front just broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Roger claims he makes the greatest flaw.
I know. It's good, but
by the way, Roger wrote the foreword for the book,
That's
which we
right.
haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah.
A very, very nice, like recollection of his relationship with Vinnie, and it's really, really great. So we want to thank Roger for doing that.
I had to give a shout out to Roger.
But we have to have a flan off.
Yeah, well, we
point.
got to find that Italian flan. I don't know how to make flan.
All right, we'll find. We'll
yeah,
find
but
it
I
somehow.
forget they need even the name.
Isn't it like ricotta?
It's
like,
so
it's,
good.
While we're here and we can publicly embarrass him, there's a chapter.
Yes.
There's a chapter in the book called "Brother Ode to Roger," which is really touching. Give us some background on that and kind of what that's about.
All right, before I throw him over the coals, I just want to say, Roger, I love you very much. We've been partners almost a half a century, and I'm looking forward to the tours, to our books, to our life together. You know, you're so great. You know, I just talked to his sister, his brother, and Freddie yesterday, you know, because a lot of reasons. But, yeah, and his mother, you know, forget it. I love him. That being said, that bolt-headed fuck, where is he? He's in Arizona. Yeah. I'm taller than him, number one. He's got beef with that.
Oh, he doesn't like that?
He don't like that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm taller than him. I got hair. Look, you pinch that. Go ahead. Get that.
It's real. That's real.
That ain't no fucking wig. That's fucking real hair.
Italian guys, you know?
He's got one leg shorter than the other.
Yeah.
He's got fallen arches. He's got fungus in his toenails.
He says no, he isn't. You're not taller than him.
He says no. Roger says no. I'm telling you, there's beef all over.
I'm telling you, I'm taller than him. We're gonna have to. You got to be the judge. He wears lifts in his shoes.
Is it panna cotta?
Oh, maybe
panna cotta.
That might be right.
Yeah,
that might be
the
right.
Italian flan.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah,
that
Brenda,
might be right.
Our friend and supporter Brenda says, I pre-ordered my book already, but will you guys have books for sale and signing Thursday night?
Yes, actually, Generation Records will be on site selling books. So they're going to ship out the pre-ordered books this week, but we will be selling books on Thursday night, courtesy of Generation Records. And they're going to be cheaper than anywhere else. So it's going to be cheaper than Amazon, cheaper than other stores, just for that night. So if you need books on Thursday, it'd be a great day and time to buy them.
Good. And as I do want to point out, what did I just do? I do want to point out that if you are not going out to Brooklyn, and you can't go out to Brooklyn for whatever the reason.
From the Brooklyn.
And you're here in the city with me, I am moderating the two-tone book event at where am I doing it? At Rough Trade. At Rough Trade. So come hear me talk. Listen.
I was going to that until our thing happened.
I like when you said, hey, I want to come to that. I said, bro, your fucking event's the same day. What are you talking about?
I know. Blame Nighthawk Cinemas.
It's all good. I'm happy for you guys. And,
By the way, that's a really good book.
Listen, the thing is like
it's massive.
The thing is like the Bible.
Wow.
It's the Bible of.
It is.
I learned
Magna Carta.
It is.
Yeah, I learned a lot from this book.
It's a great book.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Yes. But the like the late 70s, early 80s.
It's the history of kind of all that thing. Hey, before we take a break, just one last one here. Here's a shot of you, me, Raj, and tell us about the guy on the left and how he kind of played into things.
Todd Ute.
Yeah.
Rest his soul. Let's start at 11 years old. He would run away from his house and come live with me. I used to have to call his mother. I say, he's here. He's all right. You sure he's here? Yeah. Stop smoking cigarettes out there. Do you feed this kid, by the way? He's skinny. He's a skinny little kid. I taught him how to play the guitar. I taught him how to play. Wound up playing for everybody. He was in Motorhead.
Including Glenn Campbell.
Glenn Campbell.
Ace Frehley. He was in Danzig or Sam Hain or whatever.
Yeah. I taught him how to play the guitar. At 11 years old, he wound up being. How'd you get better?
By the way, he played in Warzone.
He played in Warzone, right? Yeah. Skinhead Youth. Murphy's Law. Skinhead Youth.
You know what? He was a talented kid who just really took. I think Roger says, like, when Roger was in the band, all of a sudden, like, Todd was like the most like proficient musician in Agnostic Front.
Yeah.
As soon as he joined at 13 years old.
Yeah. The kid was good. He was good. Good boy. I miss him dearly.
Yeah, he passed away very young, and he was a very, very, very talented.
Yeah,
and he always says his when you ask him what his big regret was, is that he left Agnostic Front pretty much, I think, right before Victim in Pain. Yeah.
So he'd been around for a minute, the kid.
Yeah.
And he was a big childhood Kiss fan. Like, that was his band, you know? And then he winds up playing with Ace Frehley. It's like crazy.
Right.
And so talk about full circle. Like, that was his actual hero.
Yeah.
And he wound up in the band with him.
Yeah.
Then he got a real hero like Vinnie Stigma.
Well, Vinnie Stigma. It goes without saying.
That's good stuff. Hey, let me take a quick sponsor break and run the promos, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world. We'll talk about wrestling, and we'll talk about some upcoming events. All right. I'll see you guys in like 5 minutes. There you go. Our guest today, Vinnie Stigma and Howie Abrams. The book is called Vinnie Stigma, the Most Interesting Man in the World. Post some questions. We're probably going to go a little over today. We'll see you in a minute. Here's the word from our sponsor. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young readers section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Hey, want to remind everybody, yo, please support the show. There is a Patreon page. Come join us. Don't be a Hatreon, join Patreon. The show needs your support. That's how we do this show. That's how we're here all these years later, is because people love the show. I love doing the show, and people support the show. And I thank you so much for that. There's a Patreon page, $2 a month, $5 a month, whatever. There's a PayPal address there if you want to make a donation. There's a super chat function that you could do if you have a question that comes through in color. Yo, hop around on one leg, run naked down Broadway with a candle sticking out of your ass. I don't care. Just support the show, please. Be an enabler. Enable this show to continue. And speaking of the show, let's talk about a couple upcoming shows here. There is no show on Sunday, this Sunday, because we were down at the Bowery Electric with a free all ages Sunday matinee. This is a banger. Come on down. If it's free, it's for me. Scream, Rebelmatic, Butterbrain, with special guest Angelo Moore from Fishbone, The Heiress, and Lake Lanier. So next Sunday, there will not be a show. We will be back a week from this Wednesday with Donna Destry will be on the show. Speaking of Max's, Max's Kansas City represent. This is Jimmy Destry from Blondie's sister. She was a Brown back in the day. She's a singer in her own right. This is going to be a really great punk history show. Sunday, September 22nd, Andrew Vacante from Combust. Sunday, September 29th, Joey Shithead from DOA will be on the show. We've been chasing him around for a couple years. Our old friend Danny Lilker will be on October 6th. Louis Morales talking about his book, Brooklyn Skinhead. He will be on Wednesday, October 9th. And come on now, Roger Moret will be on Sunday, October 20th, celebrating the release of his new book, With Time, The Roger Moret Archives. Very excited about having Roger back on the show. And then Sunday, October 27th, Glenn E. Friedman just announced new book, Fearless Vampire Killers, The Bad Brain Photographs. And he's coming back on the show to talk about it. While we're on the subject of Agnostic Front and Cause for Alarm, we finally got Alex Kynan to come on the show. Of course, he was in Cause for Alarm, and he played on the iconic Agnostic Front Cause for Alarm crossover record. Steve Paul Carey from Artificial Peace and Marginal Man will be on Sunday, November 17th. And the landmark 350th episode will be on Sunday, December 1st with Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth. So lots going down. Lots happening. There's a bunch of events coming up. I want to bring our big friend and cohort Larry Kelly on for a second. Hey, man.
Drew, what's up, man? How you doing?
Where are you? What are you in? What are you hiding out? What are you in the witness protection program?
I'm at the girl's house in Bridgewater, Mass. Chilling out.
Is she in the witness protection program?
No. It's, it is kind of Goodfellas looking, but
it kind of is. I know there's a little bit of crossover, so to speak, here. I want to just pull up. We got some events coming up at Bridge 9. And,
yes, got a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah,
leading up to the Howie Vinnie thing.
Yeah,
we have the second year anniversary.
Yeah, go ahead.
At Bridge 9, and we're having a punk rock flea market in the basement because we cleared out the basement.
Right.
Tons of room down there. So we're having vendors down there, and that's 12 to 6. And then that night, because the whole day is going to be like celebration of the store opening.
Sure.
Then that night, we're going to have like a little reception thing. And this band, it's on Revelation Records called Calling Hours, is going to play. It's all free.
Okay.
All ages. It's a guy named Popeye who was in a band called Farside. I don't know if people know that much. So that's going to be happening. And on September 28th, coming up, we're having our second art show. Me and Lori Dawn put this together. And the headliner artist is Timmy Tanker, who does a bunch of album covers for The Pissed and Lenny Lashley. And Lenny from Darkbuster, he's going to play later in the day with Keith Bennett. So there's going to be music.
Keith Bennett, who, speaking of crossover, circa 85, 86, who was in Wrecking Crew.
Yes, that Keith Bennett, and he had a band Panzer Bastard. He plays in Death Ray Vision now. I don't know if people
Mhm.
know the guy from one of those bands that's really popular. So Okano Masato is coming up from New York. Now, he makes a banner for every Bar Electric show we do. For all the bands, he hangs them out front. He's a good kid, and we're getting him up there because, you know, he's an awesome artist. Then Alyssa Driscoll is a local who teaches at Montserrat College of Art, which is around the corner, which is a huge, very well-known, prestigious art school. So that starts at noon, and then around 5:36, we're going to open it up to having Lenny and Keith play.
And let me, as we get into this, let me bring on Vinnie Stigma and Howie Abrams again. We have this event going on at Bridge 9 as well, right?
Yes.
We?
Speaking
What are you
of
guys? What are you guys speaking French now? We. Go ahead, Vin.
Speaking of which, Keith, I traded guitars with Ralph from
Wrecking Crew.
Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
I gave him an SG, and he gave me a Gibson 1980 Firebrand SG. We traded guitars.
Yeah.
Lenny Lashley, he just wrote a song about me.
He did, and it's on his new record, right?
Yeah,
It's awesome.
he's the best. He's such a good. I love them both. You know,
Yeah.
they're two good guys. Old school. You
Yeah.
know, these are the guys I know.
Yeah.
You know,
These are my guys.
they are. You know, these are my Boston guys. You know that. You know,
Yeah.
It's only 4 hours away. Really? Where you
Yes.
going, to the other side of the world? Come on.
And then Larry, we have this event on Saturday, December 7th. Vinnie and Howie, I'm moderating it. It's a book event up there at Bridge 9. And of course, this is the event you want to keep your eye on.
Yeah. Keep
Keep
an eye
both
on
guys
this
on that. Don't forget, it's my birthday too.
Oh,
thing. And
It's
cigars.
birthday. It's Christmas time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good time of year. Good time to end the year on a good note.
Yeah.
We have
Notice where I said note.
we have a great
Very
space.
musical, you know.
Yeah.
We have a great space up there for bands to play. We've had Newfound Glory, H2O, Drew's played there, blah blah blah, the whole thing. So
Yeah, because God knows, Incinerate Device would never play a traditional sort of setup. We thrive in records.
Big shit.
And listen, if you want us to play, if you have a really shitty PA, or if it's like a basement that stinks like puke and feces, that's our comfort zone right there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we got a good spot. And anybody out there listening who might be visiting to come to this book signing, we'll show them around the area, Salem, which is big. You know, Salem's right next door to Beverly, so there's a lot to see there.
Okay.
But I'm excited for this. I'm excited for these guys. I'm excited for Howie and Vinny to come up and see this spot. You freak out over it. We did have our first art show with Mike Gallo and
Lori, right?
Yeah, and Lori, yeah, and it went over great, and that was the
And
first.
I think we're all coming up together. Me, Vin,
Yeah.
and Howie, and maybe Rochelle. We're gonna get in my car. We're coming up together.
We're gonna have to name the car for the day, like give it a name.
You know what?
Right.
There's an Italian place in Peabody, which is very close, that Vinny's got to go to. There's just no.
Yeah, up there, I
Thanks.
heard it's good.
Thank you, Larry, and I
Cool.
hope you had a good time yesterday. And thanks for all your help, man.
Oh, before we go, that thing of you going in with Ray at the Krishna Temple,
yeah,
unreal. I was there. I saw.
Oh,
it. If I could even explain to anybody in the world how incredible it was, how you jumped in there and you made it happen, and looked like you're at the temple all the time. And
Ray got me.
Ray got you, and luckily Ray knew you're a pro, and Ray's a pro, and it was awesome.
Drew, when you were showing that earlier, I was thinking about it because I worked with Shelter, on that Mantra album.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time with those guys who I knew for years. Youth of Today.
Yeah.
And so, there were a number of like Sunday feasts at the temple and all that. But then, Porcel called us once, me and my friend Peter, and he's like, look, I'm getting initiated as a Krishna priest at, the Matchless Gifts Temple on 2nd Avenue. So he's like, I'm getting initiated. I want you guys to come. And without having seen what you experienced, it sounds like it was very similar.
Yeah.
And like we were throwing rice into flames and like doing all this ritualistic stuff.
Yo, he's like, just trust me. He's like, it's going to be great. And I'm like, okay. And I go in. The place, they're waiting for him. The building is shaking. I walk in and they're throwing flower petals on me and Larry and Ray. It's raining flower petals. He brings me into the room. I'm seated there. It's like, holy shit. And it was great. Yeah. All right, Larry.
Before I go, incredible party yesterday.
Thank you.
That was great stuff. I mean, it really worked out good. So, Vinnie, Howie, I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. See you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Be good, man.
And we're back. Listen, Larry Kelly, Mr.
Good
Wolf.
guy.
We call him Mr. Wolf, like from Pulp Fiction. It's like he's the guy. He fixes. He's my guy. He's my number one guy. So let's talk about as once again. Let me mention to everybody. Maybe there's anybody out there that's just sort of tuning in. The book.
Stragglers.
Any stragglers? Anyone that just kind of got out? Vinnie Stigma, the most interesting man in the book. In the world, excuse me, in the world.
He is the most interesting man in the book.
In the book, with Howie Abrams is the book, and it can be purchased at Amazon, Rev HQ, Cortex. What is B&N? I'm not familiar.
Barnes and Noble.
Oh, excuse me.
Jesus.
There's only one right down the block from where we live, right, Howie?
Yeah, I know. And what's crazy is every time I've ever gone in there after a book comes out, they have it.
Yeah, that's a good Barnes and Noble in our neighborhood.
It is.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me ask you about this, which comes up in the book, and that is Vinnie. Let's talk a little bit about your wrestling sort of career and your exposure. How did that come about? And I haven't been to one of these events yet, but I hear they are absolutely fantastic. Tell us about it.
First of all, I always liked wrestling since I'm a kid. Bruno Sammartino was one of my heroes too, along with Bruce Lee and Jimi Hendrix and Frank Sinatra. What's the car? The racing car guy.
Oh,
Mario Andretti, another hero of mine. You're fast, loud, tough, all these guys, But I always loved wrestling, and I always wanted to do it, but I never had the opportunity. Right. But I'm good friends with Kevin Gill, and he wrote some of the book too, right?
Yeah. So Kevin, if you don't know, had a label a while back called Striving for Togetherness, he was like the first person to release VOD and Fahrenheit 451, and a bunch more. I think No Redeeming Social Value and some compilations. So like legit, hardcore connection.
Yeah, really. And me and him always used to talk about wrestling. So when he became a wrestling announcer, we wound up crossing paths at a hardcore show. One word led to another. I got invited to be an Outlaw Wrestling. I'm the commissioner of Outlaw Wrestling. Yeah. Mr.
Outlaw Wrestling is sort of just total buck wild,
independent.
It's an independent wrestling organization.
It's the real shit, right?
Yeah, but you really see people flying off the ropes.
Yeah, I got to go to one of these.
Even I'd fly off the ropes, which is cool because I did a lot of stage diving and CBGBs. Right. So when I climbed the ropes, I went in the room with Homicide. He picked me up and he threw me. And I know how to go with it because I did a lot of stage diving. And man, I took down these guys, like 2 guys at a time. We were rolling all over the place. It was great. Yeah. All these guys, I think I say one thing, the wrestling community is like the punk hardcore community. Yeah. Respect, all welcome, all diverse, only a good time. You know, everyone respects each other, just like on a dance floor.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Do you have?
know-
Are there any? Are you involved with any upcoming events?
Not at the
Not yet.
moment.
Oh,
Not at
he'll
the
do it
moment.
again.
Yeah,
though.
because I'm booked up with Agnostic Front, going
Yeah.
to Europe, Canada. I'm on that Sepultura tour that starts on the
That's a good.
17th.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's Sepultura, Obituary, Agnostic Front, and Claustrophobic.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, like 4 bands, and I got a good spot. It's Sepultura's last tour.
Yeah.
We're good friends with Obituary. I did the intro for them the other day. They had a live streaming thing, and they used my bobblehead, and I left a voicemail like, "Hey, I'm Vinnie Stigma. I want to come and get you, break your fucking legs," you know. And they used it for the intro to their thing. And we're going to start off in Chicago, into Canada, California, Texas, going all over the fucking place, Florida. And I hope to see you guys.
And ends in New York.
And it ends in New York City. So
At the Palladium in New York.
Shout out to Mr. Hogg, whose leg that is.
yeah.
Oh, this is
My
Robert
Scottish friend.
Yeah. So what's great is I'd seen this thing. This is in the book.
Yeah.
I'd seen this on Instagram a long time ago, right? And it was not posted by Robert Hogg, whose leg it is. So I didn't know who it was, and I couldn't find it. And then at some point when we were looking through like Instagram and stuff to find photographers for the book that we may not know, and I came across this again, but he posted it. So I contacted him and I asked him if we could use it in the book, and he was really like excited to have us do it. And then he was here for the Black and Blue Bowl, so he got to connect with Vinnie and like take a picture with the tattoo and the whole thing.
Robert Hogg has been one of the most staunch supporters of this show.
Great guy,
since day one, and he is a psychotic Agnostic Front fan.
Big time. He has a I think he has a Roger tattoo also.
Yeah, he's,
if I'm not mistaken. He does, right?
yeah, I don't see him in the chat room today. I don't know. He must be doing something with his family because he's usually in there.
Well, he's 5 hours ahead too.
He's always watches the show. He's around somewhere. Yeah. Hey, this got addressed, but it came through as a super chat again. Brenda asks, will you have books for sale Thursday night? I already bought a pre-order. See you guys Thursday night. Yes.
Our good friends from Generation Records will be on site Thursday selling books as we broadcast live from the bowels of Generation Records in the West Village right now. But yes, we will have books for sale.
Yeah, and special shout out to Mark and Vinnie for putting this up and letting us use this place, and let me sign all these books. I signed up like almost 400 books today.
Every time it's more.
It was 350.
He signed 800.
By the time the end of the show, it'd be like 2,000 books.
It's like a big fish story. It just gets bigger and bigger.
I signed 1,000 books the other day.
You should see the amount of books.
Yeah.
4,000 books.
Jeez, I don't know how we did it. But
I don't know either.
You know what? A little off topic, but it's a super chat. I'll address this one. Off topic. Ever run into the Tompkins Square cannibal back in the day? Named Daniel Rakowitz. Had a pet rooster. Yeah, I remember Daniel Rakowitz. He was always around Tompkins Square Park, and yes, he did kill his girlfriend and make a stew of her and feed it to the homeless in Tompkins Square Park. And Mr. Rakowitz, I believe, is still incarcerated to this day.
Because, let's hope so.
It's just, you just can't make a stew with your girlfriend and just feed it to people,
You
used to be able to. You can't get away with that anymore.
My roadie lived with him.
Who did?
Crazy Dave. No, didn't Crazy Dave live with him?
Crazy Dave and Rob Romero, who's now in Homeland Security.
Right. I like how a lot of the most crazy, lunatic, skinhead punk rock kids I knew back in the day ended up like working for the government and as cops.
My friend Cherokee used to do sound for Clinton.
The Grateful Dead.
And then the Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead.
Sound for Clinton. I said, don't they vet you?
Right. Yeah. Another great chapter in the book is sort of about your love for martial arts. And I know you're close with Paula, Did Paula grow up in the neighborhood too? Is that how
No,
you?
she was from Staten Island,
Okay.
but she's a godmother to my son,
Yeah.
and she still teaches martial arts today. She has an academy in Staten Island
Right.
on Post Avenue.
Yeah.
And just like I said, Bruce Lee was my hero. I'm going to be like Bruce Lee. You know, Jimi Hendrix is my hero. I play the guitar. You know,
Yeah.
Mario Andretti's my hero. I drive fast. You know, I just, these are my heroes, these people. And, you know, Bruno Sammartino's my hero. I wrestle.
You're a wrestler.
So you got to follow your heroes, your dreams. And, you know, like I said before, I never want anyone to think that, like, oh, I really like that, admire that guy. And then, you know, I make sure I always be nice. Because, like I said, I don't want that be on the other side of that conversation.
Oh, you know,
Head of hair.
Listen, if I had a head of hair like that, I'd rule the world, man. Let me tell you. So there you go. And Bruno Sammartino was my favorite too, growing up.
Yeah.
You also said he was very anti-steroids, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah. No, he
wasn't-
was like for real. You know? He sold out the Garden more times than anybody.
Yeah.
I think till today. But now
and then you know, his basically Vince McMahon sort of, you know, and him didn't really get along.
Right.
He was the old guard. Bruno and Ivan Putski and sort of Chief J Strongbow and Stan Stasiak. These guys were the old guard, and when Vince McMahon came in, he modernized things.
Remember Johnny Rods, the guy who was basically supposed to lose all the time?
Yeah.
He was like the team that would play the Harlem Globetrotters and lose. And like I was like, can't you throw him a bone? Can he win?
They win one game. The Harlem
one game ever.
They lose.
But in hundreds of games.
Yeah.
But this guy never won. And like
Iron Mike Shaw.
George the Animal Steel, incredible.
You ever see an interview with George the Animal Steel? He was like the nicest, most eloquent guy.
Yeah. Like I think he was an English teacher at a college or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And he acted like a retard. Could you say retard?
No, you can't. Special needs.
Special needs.
Sure, you could say it, but it doesn't go over as well as
whatever.
Yeah.
Same person.
Listen, leave it to Scott Gajewski, a Polish, to say Polish power, Ivan Putski. Yeah.
Ivan Putski.
Love Polish power.
Oh, here we
Ask
go.
anybody in Poland. Nobody knows him.
No, they only know him here.
Yeah, they only know him
High school
here.
principal.
Sean McNally up in Boston. I think George the Animal Steel was a high school principal. He was also great in Plan 9 from Outer Space. That movie. Yeah, he played Tor. What was the actor? No, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. He was also great in the movie Ed Wood, where he played, I think, Tor Johnson from the film Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's funny because Ivan Putski, obviously, it was so big on like the Polish heritage thing.
Yeah.
And like my whole family from Poland, they were like, we love Ivan Putski, and I'm just like, and they weren't Polish, they were all born here, but like they had a special relationship.
But nobody knows
Putski.
him in Poland.
No.
It devastates me.
He was probably born in like Jersey.
He's probably not even Polish. Probably
he may not be Polish.
Probably an Irish guy.
I mean, while we're kind of chopping it up, my dad tells me a story about his mother who came from the old country. And it was Gorgeous George. That was and Gorgeous George was the precursor to the Ric Flairs, to the David Lee Roths, to the Liberace's.
Right.
Like Gorgeous George was really a trailblazer.
I love Gorgeous George so much. One day I was backstage and I found this French mirror that you hold by your hand, and I will come out on stage like this.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Loving myself. I just love wrestling.
We have a request from Scottsdale, Arizona. A guy named Roger Moret says, "I want to hear Sally Donut stories."
All right. I had a bass player one time, Sally Donuts.
Incredible story in the book.
It's in the book. He was my first real bass player. He was a big fat guy. So You know, we had the band. We broke up. He went his way. Well, but we're still a neighbor. I was an agnostic front, whatever. All of a sudden, I get a phone call. My friend Fatini calls me. He says, "Yo, Vinny, come down right now. I'm on the corner. Sally passed away." I said, "You're kidding me? Come down now." I come down. The street's closed. There's the fire department, the police department, the ambulance, and they had like a construction crew with a cherry picker. It was like December 21st. Also, he was so fat they had to take him out of the window.
Whoa.
Right? So they finally get him through the window. The police, the firemen, the streets closed. They take him out of the window. And like the cherry picker's like this, right? And it moves and the basket would swing. And it moved and the basket would, and we're looking, and my friend Rob says to me, "Vinny, look at Sal, still rocking." That was it. Crying, hugging, laughing, didn't know what to do.
Rocking.
Still rocking. My poor friend Sal.
Hey,
Do
you
know what donuts is spelled backwards?
Stunad.
There you go.
Is there, Vin? I know you. I know you're in the same building. Was the apartment you're in now? Was that your aunt's apartment?
No, it was my aunt's apartment.
Yeah.
She released it to me.
I see. Yeah.
She had a couple of apartments because she had a big family too.
Yeah.
But prior to that, in the book, it was Vincent Cole's apartment.
Oh.
He was a hitman for the mafia. He worked for the outfit with Al Capone.
Wow.
And he came here to, do some work. He was German. And they, because then the Murder Incorporated had Jewish, German, Italian, even Irish. They were outside contract and run under the mafia.
Yeah, they outsourced. They outsourced some of the work.
I was going to say, because this weekend is the beginning of the San Gennaro feast, right? Yeah. So what's another thing I got in the book is we started talking about like the Little Italy history, and Vinny starts telling me the origins, because before it was called San Gennaro, it was called San Rocco. And so you have the San Rocco feast, and then he started telling me about things that would happen during the feast that were aligned with scenes from The Godfather, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he would say things like, he goes, "Remember when the old mustache Pete pins the money on the and I was just like, on the saint," and I was like, "Old mustache Pete, I've never heard that expression before." Yeah. And so he's like, that was a real thing. And then they would pin the money on the saint, and that saint was Saint Rocco, which was the original saint before San Gennaro. Yeah. And you said that was your saint, right? And what was San Rocco the saint of?
The saint of the legs. They always had a saint for everything. Saint Lucy was saint of the eyes. She was a little lady with a dish with 2 eyeballs in it. And she would present, I'm scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. And Saint Rocco, that was San Giuna. And there's the song out there, "Veni Stigma, a San Gennaro, a Tuttanese, a Frecciarero, a Veni Stigma, a New York hardcore, a Grande Bella, a Baffagoglio."
Is it Vinny?
No, he's an opera singer, one of my heroes.
Growing up in that neighborhood I mean, all these years later, now I've lived in, I grew up in New York as well, but are there a lot of ghosts there? Do you see people from the old days? Has the neighborhood, do you still feel good about the neighborhood, or is it bittersweet? Like, what's it like in the neighborhood for you these days?
It's bittersweet. Yesterday I was in DiPaolo's and I ran into this woman, Phyllis, and my other friend, Gerard's mother. I went in. I met her before I went into the DiPaolo's. I met up with a friend of mine, Frankie Googs, who I went to school with. We were talking about, it was 54 years ago. I graduated in 1970. We we ran out of class. We burned our books. We hated school. And
we hated education. We hated.
Oh yeah. So I was in the palace yesterday. I was with a few neighborhood people, and we were talking about the neighborhood, and it was, I could talk to these people all day long, because it brings back memories to me. Just like when me and Roger are on tour, we run into somebody that we know from A7 or back in the day, like you or whatever, a person like you that like hasn't been around or whatever. And then we start talking and then like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that night he jumped off the bar, he got drunk or whatever, you know, like, or whatever, you know.
I remember that night.
Not 71 yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that night at A7, I bought some Coke from Dave, and it turned out to be
something like whatever, whatever the story is,
Yeah. But listen, Heavy Metal Mama says it's so sad things have changed so much. But I want to say this about New York and things changing. The one thing about New York that will always remain the same is that it always changes, and that's just part of the gig here. Things are not frozen in time in New York City.
But they change quick now.
They change, and
and they don't change for the better, I don't think.
There's
too many rules, too many regulations, too many people.
Yeah, it's like everything else. Everything is too big. Yeah, right. Yeah. When everything was designed, right? Yeah. The world, New York, traffic patterns, all this stuff. Right. They never intended it to have this many people here, this many people with cars. You don't have enough space for people to live because you can only build up, right? Yeah. And so, naturally it's going to get more expensive and it's going to get
it's the regulations I don't
congestion
like.
Pricing ideas.
The regulations that it used to be a city full of neighborhoods. Now it's a community. And no, I kind of like neighborhoods because you want to go to Chinatown, you get the Chinese experience. You go to Second Avenue, you get the Jewish. You go to Harlem, you get the black. Come to Little Italy, you get that. You go to Hell's Kitchen, you get the Irish. Everyone that segregation somewhat breeds culture. In a way, I mean,
well, because
I'm not saying segregation, but neighborhoods that were
the individual areas where you got the actual culture and the taste of it because the natives thrive there.
Yeah.
That's where they settled and all of those things. And so that stuff changing where I feel like I'm seeing Chinatown getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Well, everything. I mean, Chinatown, Little Italy, Chinatown, but I sort of feel somebody posted before does anyone still live in Manhattan or afford to, and I felt like going me Stigma and Howie
all three of us
all three of us live in Manhattan, and each of us have our own reasons for and how we're able to still live here but the three of us we're like Manhattan guys, man, the three of us.
Because we have that.
And like Astoria Lou says, Astoria equals Greek. Yeah.
Anytime I go to Queens or Long Island, we stop in Astoria to eat. And it's because there's still amazing Greek food there.
Yeah, well, the little out of boroughs too. That's cool. It's getting a little invaded, but I still like. I still love. I love to go somewhere where it's all this or it's all that.
I appreciate that because it's like traveling, right? So when you get on a plane and you go somewhere, you're going to be absorbing that culture and those people, and you can still do that in a lot of parts of New York. I mean, Queens alone, it's the most diverse place in the world, probably. Like
161. Languages they speak in
just
Corona.
Queens.
Corona,
just Korea. Yeah, Corona.
Corona Park. There's 161 languages floating around.
It's unbelievable because it's like, first of all, it's near the biggest airport, in the world, right? With Kennedy. So it's like all these people who come to America for the first time, a lot of them are passing through Kennedy, and this is where they are. So it's not. They're staying in the closest place, and there are all these communities established there, and it's kind of amazing.
I've developed sort of a saying that we use as far as New York goes, and it goes, New York. It ain't what it used to be, but it's the only place for me.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not going. I listen. I got out of here once and moved to Vermont and got married and did the whole thing with the kid. I vowed if I ever get back, I'm never I was traumatized. I'm never leaving. And listen, yeah, I'm going to fight till my last breath. I'm not leaving again, man.
I can't deal with all this quiet.
Yeah, believe me, you know, Drew, I traveled the world and I love everywhere, but I got to come home to New York.
Yeah.
I just need the algorithm. Well, it's a little off because people are walking slow or looking at their cell phones.
Yep.
You know, there's more tourism, there's more people, but I still need life around me.
Yeah.
You know,
And I wanted to ask you, Vin, as somebody that has, traveled the world as much as you have, and I mean, realistically, you've probably been to Europe now. You've probably done 30, 40, 50 trips.
50 times. Sure, definitely. I counted about 50 at least.
Yeah. I mean, it must be such a thrill for you at this point to be able to, go to places in Europe and like show up in a city for the 43rd time and have friends there and people there.
Family.
And know, hey, I'm going to so tell us about that.
Well, when I first started touring, just like CBGB's, I go out and make a friend. I tell everybody, all the young bands, when you go on tour, make friends. Of course, you never know when you're going to go back. You never know when you need a car ride. You never equipment, a friend. You always make friends. And throughout the years, I've been making friends. Talk about anything. Talk about food. Talk about the wine. Talk about whatever the culture is. Learn. Too, you learn a lot from just listening.
And don't hang out backstage. Like go.
I always, when the guys are backstage, I say, "Hey, fuck you guys! I'm going to go hang out with the real people." And they always laugh at me about that. But I always, and you learn from that. You shut up and listen. You learn.
One thing I learned when I went out early on with Biohazard when they toured the world, right? It's like when you're traveling like that, you have a tendency to sort of do the show, get in the bus, sleep, wake up at the next venue, go out, and you don't see anything. And it was Danny Schuler from Biohazard who said, every place we go to, I make it my business to get up early, get out, see the city, meet some of the kids, meet some of the people, because I don't know how much longer this is going to last.
Right. Well, first of all,
is that is that Yoshi telling you guys that you got to leave?
I got to do something on the
computer. He's just we're occupying his space, so I guess we have to let him do what he has to do.
No, I'm sorry. We've been touring before the Biohazard thing, and we've been touring differently, more like a punk thing. Yeah. So it was more personal than the tour bus, get in there, play the show, get back. I get that too. Yeah. Don't misunderstand me. But we did the struggle for bands like that 10 years before they were on the scene. It was a different scene. The scene was different. And I got to say one thing. It was Agnostic Front that brought all the hardcore to the festivals.
Yeah.
It was Agnostic Front and then Madball. But we brought the first hardcore to festivals in Europe, that we took it from the club and put it on the stage. Yeah. And I'm pretty proud of that,
Yeah. And I remember Ono Chromag loved you guys.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Another one we lost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was young, I want to find.
It really is crazy because just from a fan's point of view, like sitting here in New York, to think about the journey from A7 to like Wacken.
Yeah, Wacken, yeah.
Like how does that happen? Like you couldn't have ever imagined. Forget playing in Europe and these giant festivals, or whatever. But like playing on the West Coast of the United States, you couldn't have imagined doing that.
Well, we were a real street hardcore band, so like a punk band. So I paved the way for a lot of the bands. But you know what? I enjoyed every fucking minute. And let me tell you something. Freddie Madball was the kid that toured with us. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. So, I got to give it to the kid. He'd get up there and sing at 7 years old. I put him on my fucking shoulders and play the guitar. I thought it was the hardest thing ever because he had that voice, a young kid's voice that cut through. You know, the chords and the
Sure.
sound of music. The sound of music. You know, so
Yo, oh yeah.
yeah, so it was pretty awesome that, you know, a lot of things like that, you know, a lot of struggle. But I tell you the truth, I wouldn't change it for the fucking world.
Do you remember, Vin, when we did this?
Oh, yes, right. Look at the shirt. Did people still come? Wow, look at that.
Look at your hair.
Look at my hair. My Lord. That was, what do you call people, that Schalke football team.
Yeah.
shirt.
Oh, in Schalke.
Yeah,
Germany,
but people, they brought me all the fans in Schalke love me because of that picture.
This is when you guys came back after a couple years, and you came back with that record, and we did the "Gotta Go" video on the rooftop there.
Right, it was a very hot day.
It was July 4th weekend. It was brutal, man. It's fucking brutal.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day. Yeah, fantastic. Yep. All right, so
remember you roped the street cross and the cops came. We closed the street.
Yeah, you had a lot of permits, right? Drew?
Yeah, sure.
I couldn't tell you how many
We
times.
gorilla'd it.
I couldn't tell you how many times, you know, doing music videos between Onyx and Biohazard, Run DMC and Agnostic Front and Furia 5, the cops would pull up and go, "All right, who's in charge?"
Yeah,
and it was
I am.
Yeah. Everybody like, hey, it's him.
you know, because you can't go, "I don't know." Somebody has to be like, "I'm the guy."
Yeah,
you know?
that's right.
So that said, let me take a quick break, and we'll come back and let's go hard and take questions from around the world. Okay.
Cool.
All right. We'll see you in a minute. That's it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guests today are Vinnie Stigma and Howie Abrams, celebrating the release of their new book, Vinnie Stigma, the most interesting man in the world. We are sponsored by blah, 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 and Mad Vintage. Mad Vintage buys, sells, and collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They're always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade. New shirts added daily at www.madvintage.com and posted on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crap. Reach out to them. Help me help you. Last but not least, speaking of Agnostic Front, 126 Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them, ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. What's up, George? Hey, post your questions for Vinnie and Howie. Go deep, get weird. Let's have some fun with it. Before we bring them back on, I just want to mention a couple of events coming up. If you're not going out to Brooklyn to Vinnie and Howie's event, I am doing an event this Thursday in town. The Two-Tone Record Story. Daniel Rachel is in from the UK at Rough Trade in Rockefeller Plaza at 6 p.m. All you kind of oi boy, all you Two-Tone fans, you're welcome to come through. I'm sorry both events are happening, one in Brooklyn, one in Manhattan, but it works out that way sometimes. 1 week from today, like I said, it is a free all-ages Sunday matinee at the Bowery. Bring everybody, bring that nagged wife, bring that booger-eating kid, bring the dog, whatever. Saturday, October 12th, up in Queens Pins in Middletown, New York. RBNX, ID, Crazy Eddie, and many others. We are back the next day, another free all-ages matinee. This is at Berlin with ID, Winterwolf, Midnight Foolishness, The Phoenix Within, and Gunk. Friday, Saturday, October 25th, I am moderating the Danny Lilker Perpetual Conversation book event at Generation Records. Come on down. This was just announced. It actually hasn't been announced. You hear it here first. The Kings Never Die record release show, along with 45 adapters, Tree, Redwoods featuring Colton Schuler, Danny Schuler from Biohazard Son, and Next Scars free, all ages, Sunday matinee. This is at Berlin on Sunday, November 10th. And then up in Wallingford, Connecticut, another show with ID, Brass Knuckle Brigade, Dead Blow Hammer, featuring Rob Kabula, formerly of Agnostic Front and Glorious Wounds. And then, of course, we talked about the Stigma and Howie Abrams book event at Bridge 9. Keep your eye on that one. And then, last but not least, the Holiday Slamboree, Sunday, September 22nd, back at the Bowery Electric. Women of the Pit are hosting it. There is a coat drive, our annual coat drive. So come on down to that. Post up your questions. Don't be shy. Go deep. Get weird. Just real quick, please follow the show on Instagram. Pick up your communication device right now. It is at Stone Films NYC. Also, if you're watching the show on YouTube in rerun, it's after it's live, please subscribe to the show. And right now, please like the show. Like the show that likes you. That said, let's bring our guests back on. Let's put them on the side that we like them on. Let's see what people. Let's see what we got here. Okay, right on. Count Ralphus asks, surviving cancer stories are important. Can Vinnie talk a little bit about his battle?
All right. I had colorectal cancer. I had 2 operations because they had to go back in and get the rest of it, right? Thank God I had my tattoo shop, that I unionized my tattoo shop, and I got health coverage through the union. That being said, I says, I'm paying for this health coverage. Let me use it. So I went. So Dr. Dave, who's down here, one of our guys, he's one of us. He checked me out. He said, Vinnie, I don't care if you die tomorrow, but you're not going to die from this, so go. So I go. He sends me to this little Arab guy. So I go get checked out. He goes, you have cancer. I said, all right, I got cancer. What do you know? He said, if we don't catch your cancer now, you're going to have to wear a colostomy. A what? A who? Where? No, let's go. So I did all the treatments. The pain in the ass to get an operation. You got to get blood tests, EKGs, piss tests, stool, photographs of your lungs. You got to go through hoops just to get on the table.
Sure.
Besides the paperwork. Okay, so I go. I got the first operation. I keep going back for checkups. I had to get another operation. So he says, I hear you're some kind of a rock star. I play in a band, He says, I heard you got records. He says, could you bring me a record? All right. Next time I go, I brought him a CD. All right. Then I go back. I go back. Then I had to get my second operation. So I get the second operation. Thank God they got everything. So I'm making small talk. I says, by the way, you ever listen to my record? He says, yeah, we listened to it. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, we were operating on you. I said, you listen to that garbage when you're supposed to listen to Mozart. Bach, Beethoven, you don't listen to that when you're fucking operating?
That's like driving a car and listening. It's a little unnerving.
Yeah, it's like closing your eyes and driving a car,
Sure. Wow.
I would like to be operated on while my surgeon listened to AF.
Yeah, right.
Frankly, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I think it was like showing off to students or something like
this
that.
is who's here right now.
Yeah, I'm cool. I know this guy.
It was sort of like a yay or nay thing. Like, hey, what do you think? What do you guys think of the music?
Yeah. Should we just let him? We'll just let him go if you don't like
it.
Yeah. Tim Cohen asks, and there's a lot of questions here. I'll burn it down. Do you still have your 50s Les Paul Jr.?
Yes, I do.
That's not the one that I saw. That's not the one you smashed when we did.
No,
that
was an SG.
That was an SG.
I go smash an SG. Yeah, crazy. Right, but that was cool video.
Yeah, I still
have my Les Paul. It's a 56 Les Paul Jr.
Any recollections from the Victim in Pain recording?
Yeah, constantly out of tune. timing, the tempo, the tuning. Yeah, but that's brought the personality to the songs.
Yeah. That's part of the charm. That's part of the charm of Victim in Pain is that it's a little, some of it's a little out of tune. Some of it's a little, the tempo fluctuates. But
The timing's off, the tempo fluctuates.
And you can listen to it 4 times in an hour.
Yeah. At least, maybe 5.
I'm looking at this question, the rest of Tim's question about John Zorn loving Victim in Pain. Do you know John Zorn? No. He was like a noise avant-garde jazz guy.
Okay.
Right? He was like a noise guy. Yeah.
You know, and like he wound up, it's funny because later on all the Earache Records bands like started citing him as an influence and like getting all hoity-toity about their fucking sound. But like, so I never knew that John Zorn loves, I guess, Victim in Pain.
Wow.
And so Tim, let us know, did he ever like record Victim in Pain music in his John Zorn style? Did that ever happen?
It's interesting.
I'd be curious to know that.
I gotta say one thing. There's so many versions of Victim in Pain.
Oh yeah,
country versions.
Just go on the internet.
70s versions.
Yeah.
There's a Russian version. It's really crazy.
Well, look at like Gogo Bordello, like Eugene.
Eugene.
Massive fan. Like from the time in the Ukraine, in Ukraine. And so he was, I talked to him once about it and he goes, you don't know what it was like to have to try to get those records. Being in Ukraine. He goes, for one, he goes, in some circles, it was sort of like not legal. You know, and it was expensive.
And he does a version of Victim in Pain that's awesome.
He does other songs too, right? He does
like acoustic,
he's great. Sander says, Vinnie, if you could go back to any specific moment in your life and career and offer your younger self advice, what would it be? It's a good. That's a pretty deep question. Yeah.
What is myself advice? Maybe read a lot more. Read.
Oh, good. That's good. Yeah.
Read, because I'm doing an audio book now, and I'm, it's a lot of punching in and out. I'm having a little tough time here and there. I'm not a reader, but read. Reading is good.
I think Howie,
educate yourself. You can educate yourself by reading.
Howie, I think there's an inherent charm when the author reads his book, and I assume. Tell us about it. Have you guys recorded the audio for the audio book for this? Yeah,
we're halfway through it, and basically, Vinny's been reading it. It's a very weird process. It's strange. And because it's very pristine. It's not like recording music. They want it like really quiet, like perfect, not a peep out of anything in the environment. You know what I mean? So it has to be super quiet, super pro mic. And you're just sort of in the booth by yourself, this little tiny booth. So
kind of sterile,
very sterile. And so I'm reading the parts that are like someone else's voice, So like I'll read Kevin Gill's part, and I wrote my intro and Roger's forward. But generally I even did Freddie, and but everything else is Vinny. So Vinny's doing 90%. And so we're halfway through it. We're back in there tomorrow, and then we're back in there on Wednesday, and we'll have it finished. The engineer, this guy Tripp, has been amazing, like super patient. He's done 1 million audiobooks, and he's been great. And we just go to this little studio in Midtown. The whole building is like audiobook and podcast studios, And stay tuned, and we'll have a date for when it's available.
Fantastic. Hey, look who showed up. Our friend Chris Contos from
Chris Contos. I love you.
West Coast.
I always used to go around tell everybody he's an American Indian because he's a good wrestler. Because he pinned down one of the Gracie guys once.
Oh.
And the guy was so pissed off that he got pinned down. It was the guy that was running around with the biohazard guy. And I was hanging out with Chris Contos with Madball. And, the guy, I think the guy had a little bit of an attitude, because whatever. But that's all right. Chris took care of him.
That's and hey, listen. Here's a good one.
How's your dogs?
Yes. This is Chud King happens to be. That's Ricky Mahler from Circus of Power.
Ricky.
Yeah. Ricky, we talked about Todd already earlier in the show, but we love you, Ricky.
The general consensus is that he was too good to be in the band.
Yeah,
even at 13. Todd,
yeah.
Hey,
here's another one.
Captain
Brendan
is the guy with
SFA.
the big feather in the hat. Captain, what the hell's his name? Captain Florio or something. He had a big feather. He would know.
Brendan
Not Captain
SFA.
Sensible.
Brendan SFA asks, just have someone else punch in and record Vinny's track for the audiobook and don't tell anyone.
You know what's great? You know what's great? We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's actually happening. Like Vinny's getting through the book. And so slowly but surely it's getting done. And nobody else should be reading this book but Vinny.
No.
If they wanted to do like the professional reader thing, which they often want to do, we're like, nope.
Yep. Jeff Bronx says, I want to thank Vinny for great music I've listened to since 1985. Respect. Can't wait to see you in Minneapolis.
Come up to me. Meet me. You could take me for like a hot dog or something. They got them hot dogs up there.
I was thinking like what's like indigenous to like Minneapolis? Like
you know, we talked about this on another show, like all
Prince's Grave. I go to Prince's
go
Grave.
See Prince's place, yeah.
You go to Philly, you get a cheesesteak. I think is it Rochester, you go get the garbage plate. I don't know if there's like this
yeah.
I think it's Rochester. Is it Rochester?
But doesn't the buffalo wing thing like leak into Rochester a little bit?
So each place has sort of like the indigenous sort of meal.
The New York hot dog.
Yeah. No, that raised egg cream. You come to
raised egg cream, exactly.
Right. That's right.
Oh, this is a little all right, Paulie. Hey, Vinny, any memories of the infamous Agnostic Front riot show in June of 1992 at the Palladium in New York City? That was my first Agnostic Front show. Either of you guys, any memories?
I remember it well.
Yes.
But
I remember that too.
It actually started with Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law played before AF, and you could start to feel that something was coming.
Well, it was before that. Let's just say they had professional bouncers,
security guard,
security or whatever. After that, once we started taking, especially with the Ritz, after that we started doing the security for
like
the shows,
CB's,
right. and it just flowed better. I guess because we did CB's forever, we did it ourselves. You know what I mean? All the security
they had the cocaine and fucking dance club bouncers is basically what they had. Who had no idea what they were saying.
About hardcore punk.
That's an age old sort of scenario where
but you would think by 92 they'd have it together, right? It's it's not. And look at the lineup. Like, what did they think was happening in that room? And again, it started during Murphy's Law because there were times where Jimmy stopped their set and I remember the famous line he said that night was like, he's like, you're watching us, we're watching you. And because they were like yoking kids, you know what I mean? They were like, they were, like dragging kids by the neck and like,
not cool.
It was ugly,
not cool.
Oh, this is great.
Do that in Lamour's too.
This is a great line here. Eric Johnson says, I am sure $3 beers didn't help the cause.
Not a chance. That was a bad contribution to the whole thing. But it was really about those bouncers. Like they were the same bouncers that would work, when it was like a club night, and all that stuff. And they'd never, beating up a dude in a suit, who was hopped up on cocaine was a whole different thing. And these kids were rebellious and they weren't doing anything wrong.
They just want to get up on stage, dance around and jump off, leave them off, usher them off the stage. I said, listen, don't throw them off the stage like they did in Lamour's. You just take the kid, you usher them off the stage. Yeah. They'll come back, you usher them off. They'll even pat you on the back, you'll make friends that way. You're not that guy.
You don't need to be that guy.
Well, there was a lot of that in the early '90s. You know, when
Yeah.
things when the heavy and hard music started really popping off, the agnostic fronts, you know, were getting bigger, and Biohazard or Sick of It All, Murphy's Law. And like a lot of times these clubs were just unprepared to sort of deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
And you just were like, but it's 92. Why are they so unprepared? You know what I mean? Like it just didn't feel, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Haven't you figured this out yet?
Rick Healy says the 92 Palladium riot was crazy.
Yeah.
I rember Ezak throwing the monitor at the bouncers.
Well, you see it on the video.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
See there's bouncers with knives, and it was like a movable barricade. So the bouncers were behind the barricade, and they were pushing the barricade towards the back of the club, and they were holding knives and shit. Because now shit's just flying.
Yeah, we were chasing
everywhere.
them all. That was awesome. Now we're taking over. So they pulled my banner. We had this big banner.
Yeah.
They pulled it up to the rafters. And we forgot all about it because, you know, between the riot and trying to get out of the fucking joint with my equipment, grab my guitar, you know, we're fighting our way out of this fucking club. So we forgot the banner. The next day, the bouncers all got together. They burned our banner.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
I never heard that.
You know what it was? It was one of those things like in the fog of war.
In the fog
of war, like we left a piece of our artillery behind.
Exactly.
You know?
As long as no man was left behind.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of, Vin? The riot at the riot. The story just reminded me of the riot in Staten Island at that Dead Kennedy show.
Oh yeah, that was another good one.
That was intense.
Yeah, that was good.
That's legendary.
That. Oh, here's a good one. Sanders says, "Can you elaborate about playing outlaw country music? Which musicians were an influence on you?"
Well, I mean, you know, when I was a kid, there was only AM radio, so Johnny Cash would come on with Boy Named Sue. Stuff. There was Marty Robbins with the big iron on his hip.
Okay. Yeah.
There were songs. There were country songs on rock radios back then because they were hits.
Right.
They were true hits.
Right.
You know, and hey, everybody wants to be a cowboy, a cowgirl. You know, come on. You know, it's part of being American, like kind of. But yeah, the thing I didn't like what country became. It become Hollywood.
And
they're very poppy, like they're drinking health drinks. They should be drinking shots of liquor.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, it's supposed to be the horses got to die, dogs got to run away, the shotgun.
Pickup has to break down.
Yeah. You know, it's not a vegans. You know, it's not country the way it's supposed to be. You know, nobody goes to jail. They go to health spas. You know what I mean?
I know, like some of the stuff that they present as country to me kind of is confusing to me. I'm like, that's country.
But how did this idea of this country record happen?
Okay, because I was a big George Jones fan, right? And my partner Chippy Hanna, me and him used to drink and sing country songs together all night long. And he says, partner, one day we're going to write a country record together. 20 years later, boom, the outlaw Vinnie Stigma. And sometimes you can see things better from 30,000 feet in the air. You know what I mean? You could get the whole picture. When I look at country now, I'm like, you
recognize it.
You know, you go to gyms, you got nice teeth, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
right.
It just don't.
It's too nice.
Yeah.
It's a different world these days.
Yeah. It's a community, not a neighborhood.
Yeah. So you got to tell people who's on this record because it made the lineup of people playing on it's incredible.
Oh yeah, I got everybody in the world. I got Laws from Rancid, Johnny Two Bags from Social Distortion. Yeah. I got Carrie Martinez, the Mexican Bandit. I got people I don't even know on the record.
Jesse from the Agrolites.
Yeah. Jesse from the Agrolites, great. I got people on the record. I don't even know who they are. I got fiddle players, spoons. That guitar, what do they call that guitar?
Oh, a slide. Yeah,
slide guitar. You know, I got a Japanese guy on bass because I'm a real hillbilly. He lives the life.
I gotta talk to
everything better than us.
I gotta talk to Mark Yoshi because we were talking about pulling it together and releasing that. Me and Mark Yoshi are talking about doing a little boutique release,
Ah.
doing some releases. So hopefully we can put that. Chris Conto says, remember when Verbal Abuse and Agnostic Front played that squat in Denmark and the punk wanted to fight us? You pulled me aside and said, yo, Chris, find me a pipe or something. Ha, 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 ha. The good old days.
Yeah, yo, pipe him across the fucking head.
That's always a good idea. That's always a good idea to like fight the kids in the squat in Europe. That's like
well, you know what it was? I tell you the truth. A lot of those like peace punk, which is an oxymoron, and these squatters, they fucking suck in life. You know, they really do. They're just miserable people. It's like you could never. Yeah, there's few and far between that are my friends that are in that scene.
They suck at life.
They do. They suck at life. Everything is negative. They always got a chip on their shoulder. They always just shut the fuck up and go go support a show. Pay for once, you know. Instead
well,
of just
you know, Vin, I got. It reminds me of sort of like the way that a lot of younger people coming up. It's like, you know, the way. And I'm not trying to get into like, you know, get off my lawn or back in the day, but a lot of the kids, like, you know, back in the day, if you want someone to support your band, you go out and support other bands.
Exactly.
That's just how it worked. Don't expect fucking people to come to your show if you don't leave your place to go out and support any bands. You know, we do these shows.
You got to be in it to win it.
Yep.
We do these shows down at Bowery Electric. We've been doing them for years now. We've done, you know, almost 55 shows. I can't tell you how many bands reach out to me about playing, and I go, well, have you ever come down to one of the shows? No, we haven't. We've meant to. I said, bro, we've been doing shows for years now. They're free. They're all ages. And I just say to them, I say, listen, I got people from bands that come down every time we do a show asking me to play. How can I put a band on that has never come down to support anybody?
Well, the thing is, too, with that, the internet is not the world.
That's right.
It's like you have to have experiences. You got to meet people. You have to get in the mix, like, because that was the only way for the longest time. And now people feel like they are educated because they fucking read Wikipedia or they go to on a message board or whatever. That's not the real world.
It's interesting.
And, you know, and it's like, you know, I fear like young people not having like actual experiences.
Yeah, go make a friend. That's what I say. Go out there.
Go make a friend.
On Facebook. Like
not really
show
go
up
there.
somewhere.
Yeah, go on. Go. You go have lunch together. You go drink a beer together, smoke a joint. Do what the fuck you want. Go watch each other's bands. You know, support each other. You need some help carrying equipment. Anything you could do is. Anything you could do is support.
And there used to be a time when like hardcore bands didn't play in certain parts of the world, and that's not true anymore. They play fucking everywhere. There's
hardcore's worldwide.
There's house shows. There's this.
Yeah.
Like you could go see almost anybody in whatever town you live in.
Yep.
In, you know, the smallest town in Europe or Asia or this or that. It's not absolutely everywhere, but it's almost everywhere.
Really.
Enough like where you could probably go see. And people travel more now too. People go to the festivals in Europe all the time because it's like one-stop shopping with like 30 bands in 2 days or whatever. And it's like,
yeah, right.
You know, and it's like, I know some people can't afford to just do that. I get it.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people can. And it's like, you know, save up like
look
the old days and go.
She comes all the way, right? She comes all the way.
Black and Blue Bowl. People come here.
Yeah, you know, my friend Frankie, that was at the.
He was at the signing. He was here in Generation all day.
He's from Canada, you know.
Yeah,
he bought a lot of merch from Mark and like a lot of stuff. He bought a book, you know.
Yep. As we are winding down here, we'll do one or two more.
Wait, we're not staying for 2-3 more hours?
I'm getting hungry, man. You know,
we ate right before we did this. So.
Doesn't Yoshi want his desk back?
He couldn't care less. We're in his like storeroom, basically.
It stinks like rat piss in there, doesn't it?
No, it's not bad. It smells like vinyl.
Yeah.
Oh,
it smells like vinyl. He's very upset. He's very upset with what you just said.
Oh, he gave me the look. Oh my god. Oh my god. I hope he doesn't pull sponsorship. That said, okay, Scott Gajewski says greatest rabies story memory. Rest in peace, rabies. Could you give us a rabies story or memory, Vin?
Okay, besides him using pizza boxes for bass drum, or my idea, because we were going that far, that like a garbage can cover used to be tin. I got one, and I had my friend's car run it over and over, make it flat, and we used it for like a cymbal. Ray couldn't set up the drums. He didn't know how to set up drums. He would, you know how a cymbal's supposed to be here, like on the inside, like this, where you hit it. He had it out that way. It was like, where you going?
Like, how you gonna hit it?
Yeah, like wait, yeah. He was like a wind-up toy. You wind over like,
yeah.
So yeah, that.
Why you were talking about the real early days when you'd rehearse, and he wore like a million layers of clothes.
He used to bring like a satchel of clothes, like a million clothes, like. He was
like he was trying to lose weight or something.
Yeah, we used to play in this place in the basement in the boiler room, and it was really hot. We would strip down to our underwear because it was under boxes and boots. We were. I
want to see that.
Forget it. Every show, the boots and boxes. It was so cool. A lot of good fun.
Joe in Seattle. This is like watching a great comedy special with a solid history lesson. Thank you, legend Stigma, Drew and Howie. Of course.
Thank you for giving Drew money.
Yeah. So another story about Ray. I used to have his boots hanging in my tattoo shop, and it was 9/11. He died on 9/11. Well, before 9/11.
Yeah.
Before 9/11.
Yeah.
So I was going to go to my tattoo shop and polish the boots and, take care. Like every year I do that. So I put my hand inside the fucking boot. What was that? It was like a sponge in there. Like I never checked his boots. He had like these inner soles. They were like, they were disgusting. I threw them away.
Ew.
I got his DNA and rebrand him.
You just reminded me of a story you told me about, and I retell this to people about when CB's closed. You took a piece of the stage home, and then the piece like of the wooden stage. And then you notice like there were the like bugs coming out of it, and the stage was the wood stage at CB's was infested with mites.
Oh yeah, out.
And Stigma brought the piece of the stage home, and all of a sudden he had fucking mites in the apartment.
But they were little red ones.
Yeah. Oh,
I never forget that.
That's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Here's an a very rare shot here. Any memories of when Watson was fronting early shows? There you are with John Watson singing for AF. Didn't you do the Buff Hall show with Watson?
Yeah. Philly.
Yeah. That's another one where they wind up beefing. Did I got the X head there?
It looks like you do. Yeah.
I should shave an X into my head.
Yeah. It looks like you do.
Yeah. Shows that with Watson, I remember him forget words. Like I used to forget guitar, but I was the only guy holding the band down because I was the only musician in the band. Ray was a wind-up toy. John couldn't sing. Diego didn't mind to play the bass. He just wanted a mosh, It was a mess up there. It was but you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, it was just great. It was just, I stand on their shoulders. Really, I do.
Fantastic. Now, last one. I saw a good one here. Where did I see that? Go make a friend. Let me see. It was a good one. Where did it go? Damn. Oh, Vinnie, upon closing, what's the best pearl of wisdom that you ever gave to yourself?
More advice.
Be a good boy. Go make a friend. Don't cause no trouble. Don't be cheap. I hate cheap people.
Why are you looking at the Jewish guy?
I was looking at that one.
Oh, you're looking at Drew. I was looking at you.
Be generous. Help anyone you can. Support hardcore. and it'll support you back. It'll bring a lot to you. So support hardcore punk brought a lot to me in my life and a lot to other people too. You know, and you, Howard, me, Mark right here. You know, it's all because of music, and we love it. We do it. And, you know, other people now get involved, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The book, Vinnie Stigma, the most interesting man in the world, is available at Amazon, at Rev HQ, Cortex, Barnes and Noble,
Generation
Records, Premier Collectibles. Of course, the event. If you're not at my event on Thursday, I give you permission to come to this event.
Permission.
Out at Nighthawk Cinema. They're screening The Godfathers of Hardcore, and there is a Q&A and much more. With
I'm going to play acoustic guitar too.
Doo-wop songs.
Doo-wop songs. We're going to send our fans to go beat up your fans too. Is that okay?
You know what? I sort of like that. Well, I'll get the ska kid. I'll get the ska crowd and the old skinhead crowd. And listen, where should we meet? Should we meet? In
let's
Brooklyn?
go. Yo.
I'm trying to think. We're going to be so we can meet in downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because you'll be uptown, we'll be in Brooklyn.
Yeah, we'll be at CBGB's.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just meet in front of John Barbados.
Yeah.
Like maybe
the Rude Boys versus the Skins.
Yeah, we'll all meet up, make friends, and turn on John Barbados.
And you know what? And each team gets one Jew. And so I'm on the
Brooklyn side.
And I'm on the Manhattan side.
But then we all realize that we're all one gang, and we wrecked the John Barbados store.
Yeah. Kind of like the Wanderers.
Yeah.
Like when the two teams become enemies to fight the one bad guys. It's like that.
There you go. Howie, we'll start with you, and then Vinny. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
Come on. I got so many people, my family, my friends, Paula, Jimmy, Roger, Freddie, Madball, Generation Records. As you know, the list goes on because Steve Messina, Stephen
J. Messina.
Oh, Jay. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I beg your pardon. Chippy Hanna, all the guys that were on my country records. I want to thank my band, Agnostic Front, for putting up with me all these years. You know, you, Drew, great guy. You know, I'm going to miss a lot of people, so I think I'm going to. Everybody, I love you all.
And you are certainly loved back. Howie, anybody you want to thank and sort of?
Certainly everybody Vinny just thanked, but I personally want to thank Vinny because you know I do have those moments where I'm like, Jesus Christ, I just worked on a fucking book with Vinnie Stigma. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't know how much Vinny actually understands how much of a fan of his and his band I am and have been for such a long time. So it's still like a little bit weird that
I don't think like that.
I'm still processing that, you know, I got to work on Vinny's book, and it's just, you know, it's just been such a fun experience.
It really has been fun.
And we've just been on the same page with it the whole time. And I really do think
we got to be closer friends.
Yeah.
Like, I always loved Howie. We're always friends, but like now I call him, I miss you.
Yeah, that's true.
With a heart.
He's sending me like unicorn kiss, you know, like fucking emojis. Yeah. And like, but the, you know, I think people are going to see the fun we had making the book.
Yeah, it was
in
fun.
The book.
And you laugh. There's a few moments you read the book, you die laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. It's very entertaining.
Yeah. And this is us outside of this room at Generation.
Yeah.
And at Vinny's Throbblehead release event.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, the bobblehead. I like it.
It doesn't look anything like
nothing
me.
like you.
That's what I love about
they never look like the people anyway.
Right? They must have like a standard look.
The Joe Strummer one doesn't look anything like Joe Strummer.
Vinny Stigma looks as much like Joe Strummer as anybody else.
Yeah. I think they used maybe. Yeah. They used the Joe Strummer. They used the mold. And then, all right, this one's Vinny Stigma.
Yeah, might as well. We'll just put a mohawk on it.
Yeah, that's a mohawk, a couple of tattoos on it. That's it.
Cool. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. We'll
Thank
talk
you for
soon.
having us.
Of course. We'll talk soon, Howie. We'll figure out our trip up to Bridge 9. And everybody
Yeah.
keep an eye out
It's going to be
about
fun.
that event. Yeah.
Don't forget, it's my birthday that week.
By the way, everybody, Brooklyn on September 12th.
Yeah, Brooklyn verse.
Not Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Otherwise, you're going to come to your show and beat you up.
Yo, we'll see you. We'll see you in the alley.
I'll see you there, yo.
See you in Brooklyn
alley.
Thursday.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
See you,
Take
Drew.
care. Well, there you have it. I told you it was going to be a great one. Our guests today were Vinnie Stigma, the godfather of hardcore, and Howie Abrams. Fantastic show. Thank you, everybody, for Mick Lambro. Thank you. It was great. Great show. But that's what we do. We do great shows here. And like I said, please support the show if you can. There's a Patreon page. There's a PayPal. You got to support the show. We got to keep doing this. So please. And I appreciate all that support the show. Hey, thank you, Mike, from RBNX, and everybody, Tim and Sander, Chris Contos, my man, Arthur Siegel. Thank you, buddy. Maybe I'll see you at the Two-Tone Book event. Eric Johnson. Like I said, I will be in New York moderating this book event on Thursday. Sunday is the Free Bowery Electric Show. And we will be back here on Wednesday, September 18th with Donna Destry. There are a lot of great things coming up. So thank you so much. There it is. What can I say? I guess that's it. I'm going to go eat something. Tell your loved ones that you love them. That is very important in this lifetime. Until next we meet, do good things, and good things will come to you.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society.